রাহুল রাজীব রেড্ডি ফটোকপি করে একটা আপনার একটা ডিপে ইফনিট তোর ফোন ইউজ করব ফোন করার জন্য, কারণ আমার ফোন বিজি থাকবে। ঠিক আছে, তোকেও আমি একটা আপনার কাছে থাকবে একটা।
நல்ல பையன் தான், ஆனா கை நிறைய சம்பாத்தியம் வேணாமா. அமுதா, பிராக்டிகலா யோசி.
ப்ளீஸ் பா, அவரோட திறமை மேல எனக்கு நம்பிக்கை இருக்கு.
அது மட்டும் போதாது, இது நடக்காதுமா. நிச்சயமா நடக்கும். ஆனா நீங்க கேக்குற தகுதியோட.
வாங்கம்மா, வாங்கப்பா, இங்கதான் இருக்காரு.
திறமையா உழைப்பும் திறமையும் இருந்தா உயரலாங்கிறதுக்கு உழைப்பும் திறமையும் மட்டுமல்ல, டிஎம்பியோட ட்ரேடர்ஸ் லோன்னா 7 லட்சத்துக்கு வெளிச்சமா இருக்கு. இந்த முன்னேற்றத்துக்கு டிஎம்பியோட நட்பான ஆலோசனை, நம்பி கொடுத்த முதலீடு, இதெல்லாம் தான் வாடிக்கையாளரோட வளர்ச்சியில சந்தோஷப்படுற டிஎம்பி தான் ட்ரேடர்ஸ் வாழ்க்கைக்கு வழிகாட்டு. உழைப்பவர்களை உயர வைக்கும் தோழன் டிஎம்பி ட்ரேடர்ஸ் லோன்.
লিখে দিন চেয়ারম্যান সাহেবের অফিসের নাম।
என்ன டீச்சர் அக்கா, இதுவா உங்க பேங்க்? அட்வான்ஸ் பிசிக்ஸ் எடுக்கிற நீ அட்வான்ஸ் பேங்கிங் பத்தி தெரிஞ்சுக்க வேணாமா? சேமிப்போட முழு பலனையும் அனுபவிக்க டிஎம்பி தான் பெஸ்ட். டிஎம்பி எஸ்பில தான் கஸ்டமர்ஸ்க்கு பெனிஃபிட்டா நிறைய ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கு.
இன்டர்நெட் பேங்கிங், மொபைல் பேங்கிங், எஸ்எம்எஸ் அலர்ட், விசா டெபிட் கார்டு, பர்சனலைஸ் செக் புக் ஃபெசிலிட்டி, இங்கேயும் அங்கேயும் எங்கேயும் பணம் போட்டு எடுக்கிற எனிவேர் பேங்கிங் ஃபெசிலிட்டி.
முக்கியமா நம்ம எஸ்பில 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய்க்கு மேல சேரும் போது வருஷத்துக்கு 5% வட்டி டிஎம்பில மட்டும்தான் கொடுக்கறாங்க.
டிஎம்பி அனுகூலங்கள் 1000.
வெறும் கனவு போதுமா இல்ல சொந்த வீடு வேணுமா? டிஎம்பி ஹோம் லோன் மூலமா ஆசைப்பட்டபடியே சொந்த வீடு வாங்கின அனுபவத்தை சொல்றேன், கேளுங்க.
புது வீடு வாங்க, மண்ணில புதுசா வீடு கட்ட, இருக்கிற வீட்டை அழகா ரெனோவேட் பண்ணனே எல்லா விதமாவும் டிஎம்பி ஹோம் லோன் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும்.
ஈஸியான ப்ராசஸ், வெரி லோ இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட். உங்க ஆசைக்கு பக்க பலமா, உற்ற துணையா எப்பவும் டிஎம்பி இருக்கு. கனவை காலி பண்ணிட்டு சொந்த வீட்டை சந்தோஷமா வாங்குங்க.
டிஎம்பி வழங்கும் வீட்டு கடன். உங்க வீடு சொந்த வீடு.
வெறும் கனவு போதுமா, சொந்த வீடு வேணுமா?
புதுசா பிசினஸ் ஆரம்பிக்கிறேன், ஆனா பேங்கிங்க்கு தான் சரியான கைடன்ஸ் இல்லாம.
அப்ப நீ அணுக வேண்டியது டிஎம்பி.
டிஎம்பினாலே வசதி, ராசி, வளர்ச்சி. இங்க கரண்ட் அக்கவுண்ட் ஆரம்பிச்சா எனிவேர் பேங்கிங், மொபைல் பேங்கிங், செக் புக் ஃபெசிலிட்டி, லோன் ஃபெசிலிட்டி, விருப்பமான அக்கவுண்ட் நம்பரை செலக்ட் பண்ணிக்கிற வசதின்னு உங்க பிசினஸ்க்கு ஏத்த எல்லாம் இருக்கு.
Hello?
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Hemantji?
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Mr. Reddy is also there. Rajiv Reddy, our chairman for Southern Region.
Yeah.
Hello, Hemantji. How are you? We met long time back.
Yeah. How are you, Rajiv?
Good, good. Long time.
Yeah, nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too, sir.
So maybe we'll start in the next 5 minutes. Huh?
Sure.
People are still joining.
Okay.
So everything fine, Hemantji, with you?
Yeah, everything fine. Perfect.
Hello, am I audible? This is Indranil Dasgupta.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are audible, Indranil.
Okay, thank you.
So the minister is also joining on the virtual or?
Yeah, minister will also join, but he will be little late. So, our team is coordinating with his office. His ministers, Tamil Nadu Industries Department and our team, both of them are coordinating.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He will be joining. Yeah, virtual.
He will be joining virtual.
Yeah. Mr. Sampath. And we have 3 civil servants coming also. One is the chairman of the port. He has already joined. And then we have, executive director of Tamil Nadu Industries Department. And we also have the SEZ commissioner.
Okay.
And the Korean CG is also, he's also joined.
Yes, I can see him. Good morning, His Excellency. And Mr. Josh Fogler is also. Good morning. How are you?
Very
Good
good.
morning, Mr. Josh Fogler. How are you?
Mr. Folger, your audio is not, it's switched off.
Sorry.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, we can hear.
Hi, Hemantji. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. How are you? Are you based in Chennai or in Delhi?
Yes, sir. I'm based in Chennai.
I see. Okay.
Good morning,
We have
Mr. Josh.
our operation. Good morning.
So maybe should we start then, Hemantji? Rajiv?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
sure.
can start. I think Rajiv, we can start.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will just invite you and, we can start the program. Debu, we are starting the program, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a proud privilege for me to welcome all of you. Chairman of our Southern Regional Council. He will be sharing the welcome address with all of you. Mr. Reddy.
Thank you, Nirmalaji. Good morning. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome you all here today. On behalf of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, I would like to express my great pleasure in welcoming all the distinguished panelists here today. Mr. Hemant Kanoria, Mr. Josh Fowler, His Excellency Yong Sip Won, Consul General of Korea. And I think we are waiting for a few more people to join. But Mr. T.K. Ramchandran. And I think, like Dimala mentioned, we are waiting for maybe a minister to join shortly.
Rajiv, if you could, take the audio little, it needs to be a little louder.
Okay, is it better now?
You have to, come near the mic.
Yeah.
For the system.
Is it better now?
A little better.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I can start. So, Tamil Nadu has a diverse manufacturing sector and features many among the leaders in several industries like automobiles and auto components, engineering, pharmaceuticals, garments, textile products, leather products, chemicals, plastics, just to name a few. It ranks first among the states in terms of number of factories and industrial workers as well. Between the 2015 to 16 and 20 to 21, the gross state domestic product has expanded at a rate of more than 12%. The net state domestic product expanded at a CAGR of 11.93% to touch almost 200 billion between these years. In 2019 to 20, the tertiary sector contributed 53% to the gross state value added at current prices, followed by a secondary sector at 33%. Tamil Nadu has a well-developed infrastructure with an excellent road and rail network. 3 major ports, 15 minor ports, and 8 airports across the state, providing excellent connectivity. As of July 2020, the state had also had a total installed power generation capacity of more than 30 gigawatts. As of February 2020, the state had 54 formally approved SEZs, 15 notified SEZs, and 4 within principle approval SEZs, and total 40 exporting SEZs. The IT export from Telangana has increased drastically over the last 2 years. It is almost 20 billion and it's expected to grow at a rate of 10% year on year. It is also ranked number 1 in terms of the foreign tourist arrivals and second in terms of domestic tourist travel in 2019 to 20. Foreign tourist arrival reached almost 7 million and the domestic tourists stood at almost 500 million. This is a great number. A great attraction for everyone. The state has also become one of the most sought after investment destinations. The textile industry is India's 3rd largest beneficiary of the FDI. For major manufacturers in India, particularly in the automotive and electronic industries, the state is also a hub. It holds the title of becoming India's largest producer of tires. First in the number 1 in the production of wind energy and second in the production of electronic hardware. I think the most commendable industry to attribute to the state of Tamil Nadu would be the automobile industry. It has manufactured more than 25 million vehicles in the year 2020, including passenger vehicles, freight vehicles, 3-wheelers, 2-wheelers, and quadricycles. Out of these, almost 5 million of these vehicles are being exported. So this shows that Tamil Nadu has, embraced the Make in India and also been a manufacturing hub for international companies. So the Indian Chamber of Commerce in this e-conference tries to throw a light on different aspects of the renewed focus on trade investments in this state of Tamil Nadu, which has a key state for India and is keen to diversify their sourcing. With these few words, I once again welcome all of our eminent guests and speakers and look forward to a fruitful deliberation and interaction on the destination Tamil Nadu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajiv. It was definitely a very encouraging words from your side and a perfect welcome, in virtual mode. So, in fact, ICC had been doing some programs in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure under your leadership, ICC will do more in Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your words. May I now request Mr. Josh Folger, Country Head and Managing Director of Foxconn International Holding India, to share his views with us. Mr. Folger.
Your Excellency Youngsip Kwong, it's a pleasure to have you, sir. ICC leadership, Hemanji, how are you, sir? Rajiv, thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to say that while the automotive industry is premier in Tamil Nadu, we have also in the ICT space, we've been doing some commendable work over the last 15 years. Very happy to say that Tamil Nadu has, built and many of that exported. We've made about 1 billion phones, mobile phones in Tamil Nadu. and we will continue to do more as ICT sector expands in India, in Tamil Nadu, and in India. So I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate ICC jointly with the Department of Commerce and Industries, Government of Tamil Nadu, putting this together. As you're aware, we continue to collaborate very heavily with the Tamil Nadu government and its fantastic administration, over the many years, but especially the last few years. I must emphasize that we are excited to see that Tamil Nadu as one of the forerunning states in creating this 5 trillion Indian economy. We are very happy to see that. In the electronics, the India's target is 400 billion by 2025 in electronics, and Tamil Nadu's target, according to the Tamil Nadu electronics policy, which is in a way a subset of the industrial policy, is 100 billion. So we have a lot to see. Electronics industry, as most of you know, is one of the most global industries in the world, and there are different elements of the value chain coming from many parts of the world. So it is very, very important. It not just creates value, it also creates large-scale employment, multi-tiered employment. Now, some of the opportunities emerging in the ICT space, clearly, with the global dynamics which is happening, I think a lot of the Indian companies are looking for local design with Atmanirbhar Bharat in mind. I think this will be a big opportunity. The second is, of course, global companies are looking for India as an export destination. Third is electronics industry is seeing a huge intersection, with multiple sectors, but namely the automotive sector. I think most of you, I think it seems to be the talk of the industry right now. But the truth is, it's been happening for a while. It's been happening for a while across two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, CV segments. You will see the electrification, electronification of the sector. And now, what we did, in the face manufacturing program in mobile phones, we see this translating multiple places. And now with PLI, we see that this will be a phenomenal, impetus, taking the country and the state in new directions. Now, while India is poised to take advantage of this, while there are fantastic opportunities, there are some thoughts, which we need to keep in mind. One is, of course, we will have a lot of FDI, which is, I think, quite important, apart from technology. Now, the first challenge is the execution speed, and the execution speed is very important. And we've seen Tamil Nadu is probably one of the states where the approval processes are very quick. So in terms of execution, the approvals are not the problem. The challenges remain in how we are able to attract, meaning hire and retain, the talent, the talent we need to really execute this capital. We have to build more local competencies because of all this travel restrictions which are there today in the world because of COVID. I think we need to have more local competencies. I think there is a lot of dependence on people traveling from outside. I think it just gives an impetus to companies to build the talent, locally here. While it's important to get talent from outside the country, but they may or may not be able to stay here for a long time to support, and I think that'll be good. Now with COVID, I think as most of you know, we as India, we as Tamil Nadu have to get on this Industry 4.0 platform. Whatever paperwork has to be digitized. Everything has to be on a digital platform. The solutions are there under this, Industry 4.0 framework. We just need to adopt them. And all of these things will help us in essentially doing this execution of fast capital. Now, one of the things which COVID has taught, over the last last year or so, is the whole bio trail, right? What do I touch? So in our factories where you have large scale operations, most of us have adopted a no touch philosophy. So you are reducing the bio trails, and all of these things help us to do meaningful automation where things sort of matter. And now, I think all of these things, if we are able to imbibe in our projects, I think we should be very successful. Now, what I can say from experience is Tamil Nadu has one of the most investor-friendly processes. The guidance has been, I'd say, phenomenal, shot in the arm for Tamil Nadu. The industries department has been fabulous. All other supporting departments regarding industry has been excellent examples. Now, I want to say that at least from our little electronics industry standpoint, I think there are benchmarks out there. I think our company is a Taiwanese company, and Taiwan is a great example of how consistency matters. I think some of the industries, electronic industries, automotive industry, all of these things require long capital cycles, and consistency in policy, consistency in mindset matters. And case in point is Taiwan as an example, to seeing this through. So this is there will be some short-term gains in electronics. You will see that contributing towards this 400 billion. There will be some midterm gains, but there will be really some long-term gains, all under the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I wish Tamil Nadu all the success. I wish all the companies all the success, and I want to take this opportunity to thank ICC for inviting me to say a few words this morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fo. In fact, your words will serve as a testimonial, number one. Encouragement. So basically, to Tamil Nadu government. So you spoke very nice about guidance and industries. So now I would like to request Mr. Hemant, distinguished industrialist and chairman of SHREI. He is also a senior managing committee member of ICC, to share his thoughts with us. He will deliver the industry address. Mr. Kanoria.
Thank you. Thank you, Devalia. His Excellency, Mr. Kwon, Consul General of Republic of Korea, Mr. Folger, Dr. Neeraj Mittal, Mr. Ramchandran, Rajiv, and all the dignitaries who have gathered today, and the participants. A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege for me to be addressing this destination, Tamil Nadu. I think that all over the country, everyone is aware about that Tamil Nadu is at the vanguard of industrialization, and it has always been so. So it is basically the chosen destination for a large number of overseas companies who want to set up their manufacturing plants in India, whether it be in car manufacturing, any kind of automotive components, engineering, because Tamil Nadu has a very good work culture, and that is why it attracts a large number of overseas players to come up and set up their manufacturing companies there. And as Mr. Folger just mentioned, that there has been a consistency in the policy and the governments, whether the governments have changed from one party to another, but all of them have been encouraging the industries to come up and always try to facilitate that how the industries can find out any bottlenecks which are there to be removed. And I think that has been a very consistent policy for any of the governments which has come in Tamil Nadu. And this has been a very welcome step for almost all industries coming from overseas and even from India. It has a very large pool of skilled workers there. It has engineering colleges, so therefore a large number of people are available who are skilled. So getting skilled manpower is also not a problem for Tamil Nadu. Our company has been in Tamil Nadu for the last almost about 31 years. So we have been financing large number of construction companies, contractors, and facilitating them to build up the infrastructure, which I think is extremely critical. And I must confess that Tamil Nadu is one of the states in India which has excellent infrastructure from the perspective of whether it be roads, ports which have been developed, airports which are all over the state, and power supply is also quite good there. So therefore, I think that from infrastructure perspective also, Tamil Nadu has done a great job in the entire country if you look at it. So from the perspective of people, skilled manpower, infrastructure, entire mindset of the government to facilitate the industries to come up. So I think that I must compliment the government. Mr. Sampath has not yet joined, and also all the dignitaries and the government officials, senior bureaucrats. I see Mr. Ramachandran here. So all of them, that because they have absolutely made it a very easy way for people to come up and set up either infrastructure facilities or invest in manufacturing. Agriculture has also done well. So I think that Tamil Nadu is one of the states has become almost like a model state for everyone to copy the practices and implement them in their states. Our company, because we have been involved in the last 31 years, we are also at the grassroots level with Sewage, which is a village level enterprise which we run where we have almost about 3,000-4,000 of village level entrepreneurs who provide government services in the village. And we can see that how the government has been able to facilitate even that basically when people are being offered the services in the villages. So there is the partnership with the government has been extremely good. Also, we have invested in SEZ in Tamil Nadu, in Tuticorin, which is a very large SEZ, where again, the entire infrastructure is there. And my colleague Indranil Lasgupta will be giving a presentation also subsequently, and in the discussions which he's having. So where he will explain elaborately the advantages of the SEZ which is there, which has been set up in Tuticorin, which is basically in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. And the government's initiative has now been to develop the southern part of Tamil Nadu in the same fashion as they have done the northern part. And therefore, this will play a very, very important role in attracting industries. All the infrastructure has been set up there. So whether it be road connectivity, airport is very close by, the seaport is also very close by from the Tuticorin SEZ, which is there. And we have been welcoming industries to come up there. We were also Fogler to look at is his second plant. If he's looking at setting up, he should look at Tuticorin. And we can assure him that all the facilities, which is infrastructure facilities, will be offered. And my colleague Indranil will take him through the entire details of it. So it is basically, as we say, that the common parlance now is plug and play. So this is actually a plug and play from all perspectives, even to the extent that the power supply can also be given at lower cost because the government has facilitated. And I would really compliment the government. The government has come forward in facilitating that how power can be supplied also at a lower cost in the SEZ. And that could not have happened unless we had got this help of the government and the forward-looking vision which the government has. Because usually we have seen that many of the state governments, they do not want to leave their power supply. But this is one state where they have come forward and facilitated because they want industries to come up. And we can see that in this large SEZ which is there for almost about 2,500 acres, we can get industries to come up because they will get power, and power is one of the basic inputs for any of the manufacturing companies. So that is a big advantage. And besides that, we are looking at other opportunities in Tamil Nadu because we believe in the state. And that is why we have been there right from the grassroots level to financing companies which are building up the infrastructure, construction companies and contractors, plus many of the corporates who are there, large corporates, they are our clients. and then now setting up the manufacturing. So as an organization, as a group, we are very committed to Tamil Nadu because we see that it is very forward looking. The government is in the position to hold hands if you have any problems. And as Mr. Volga also mentioned, that the way that the government is able to support any manufacturing companies to come up, so that is definitely helping infrastructure creation. So I would suggest that, people and friends who are here today, who are looking at setting up their industries or infrastructure or even any kind of a service base, should be doing that. Another thought, because I have Mr. Ramachandran and the senior government officials today, so I would also take this opportunity to mention to them that Tuticorin can also be created at a very large base for data centers, because we have the land there, the infrastructure there, the power can be given at a low. So if we can market it together as a large base for data farms, and so therefore it will attract a large number of professionals, and because there are many engineering colleges in and around, so they will get jobs in their same area, and it can develop. And it is also because from the perspective of it being very secured, it is a very secure place and the weather conditions are very good as we compare it to the US. So people are going to Texas and Houston to set up all the data centers. So here I think that we can also make this the Tuticorin to be the Texas of India, to have all the data centers and the data farms. So we will be very happy to collaborate with the government to market this particular concept and provide facilities. And as I said, that it will be plug and play, and which will help in employment generation, in infrastructure creation, in basically hosting all the data which is there. At least we can start off with hosting all the Tamil Nadu government's data, which will be secure and it will be in the state itself at a lower cost. So I think that our journey, our being in Tamil Nadu has been extremely good for the last 30 years. We have enjoyed being there. We have contributed in our own humble manner, and we would like to contribute more towards the overall development of the state because of their forward-looking vision, which the government, the politicians, and the bureaucrats have in the particular state. So thank you very much, and thank you, Demalia, for giving me this opportunity to be here today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanoria. In fact, it's a feather in the cap for the Industries Department. After Mr. Folger, it's Mr. Kanoria, two distinguished Indian business leaders speaking very high of Industries Department, giving to the industries on an overall basis. And it's noteworthy to know that, you will continue to invest in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure, Foxconn and Mr. Folger will look at the opportunities at your Tuticorin SEZ for their future expansion plans. So, this is the, testimony how this good work done by the Industries Department gets publicized and acclaimed at a national forum and a national platform. Thank you, Hemantji, for putting up all the good words about this government. Thank you so much. May I now request Mr. T.K. Ramachandran, Chairman, Port Trust, Tuticorin, a distinguished civil servant, a senior IS officer, to share his thoughts with us. Mr. Ramachandran.
Good morning to all of you. I have also a short presentation. I don't know whether I will be able to, I will be able to upload it. But let me start by wishing ICC a very successful session this morning as well as later in the day. And also good morning to all my friends on the panel, Mr. Folger, Mr. Kanoria, His Excellency the Consul General of the Republic of Korea, and Neeraj, and of course, Mr. Devmale Banerjee, who made this possible. I think a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about Tuticorin has already been said, and so well said by Mr. Kanoria. He's done the job for me. And but I must tell you that I 100% concur with what he said. I also concur with Mr. Folger because I remember when I was IT secretary, we used to have a lot of interactions, and we were persuading him at that time to set up shop in TN. And I'm glad that it has finally happened, and that they're doing a very successful job of it. So like everyone else said, Tamil Nadu is a good state to invest in. It's a good state to run your industry in. It has excellent climate and a very supportive bureaucracy. So I would like to now focus on Tuticorin Port and look at what we have on offer. Now, we are one of the 3 major ports in Tamil Nadu, and we have a lot of installed capacity. We handle about 1 million TEUs of containers. And one very advantageous position that we have is that we have a daily connection to Colombo, which means anyone wanting to sail from India at short notice can do so from Tuticorin because you have all the connectivity that you require from Colombo. But in addition to that, we are also planning to set up our own transshipment hub here. We are waiting for certain clearances, and once we get that, we will have a lot of main lines operating out of Tuticorin, and therefore we hope that given the fact that we have a berth, a draft of about 14.2 meters, hoping to increase it to about 15.5 in a couple of years. And we are also getting in a 3rd container berth. So which will add to another 6 or 7 lakh TEUs of containers. So given this background, and given the fact that the development of the port is entirely dependent on the industrialization that takes place in and around the port, we are very interested in ensuring that any industry that comes to this part of Tamil Nadu is fully facilitated. In fact, there is this might be also the right forum to talk about it. We are having a Maritime India Summit in a few days, which is going to be inaugurated with the Honorable Prime Minister. And we expect participation by a large number of countries, about 10 countries, a large number of maritime states. And one of the key focuses of the Maritime India Summit is that we want India as a destination and to offer all the services that the major ports across the entire coastline of India have on offer for any of the industries. But now reverting to Tuticorin, the strategic location of Tuticorin, it is very close to the east-west international sea route. As I said, it has a good draft, and we handle bulk carriers of about 100,000 DWT, and we have excellent connectivity. In fact, tomorrow, the Honorable Prime Minister is inaugurating an 8-lane road. Originally, we had a 4-lane road, and now it's been expanded to an 8-lane road and the connecting bridges. So Honorable Prime Minister is inaugurating that bridge tomorrow. And we are also on the way to becoming a green port. And one advantage of becoming a green port is that almost 60% of our energy needs are met locally, which means we produce it, solar, etc., solar, and now we are going to go in for wind, which means that, like was said earlier by Mr. Kanoria, we can offer cheaper, because it's all bundled. So we can offer cheaper power to those who are in this estate. So apart from our location, apart from the connectivity, apart from the fact that we have good draft, we have a lot of other amenities which any industrialist who wants to set up his industry here can take advantage of. Then there is also the fact, Mr. Kanoria very kindly referred to, that we have rail connectivity, we have airport connectivity, all within a radius of about 15 to 20 kilometers. And the port is absolutely connected by rail. Any goods being brought to the port, being taken away from the port, can transit via rail. And we have handled about 37 million tons in the last few years on an average. And we hope to increase it to about 40, 45. Recently, we've had several new industries coming up here. And our strategic vision, if you can call it that, is to become something like Singapore, to have industrialization happening in and around Tuticorin. And I can tell you that it's happening at a very fast pace. Recently, SCPC have now started, have commissioned their operations, and they are producing power, thermal power. And there are a large number of industries setting up we have SHV setting up their gas-based plant, gas-based bottling plant. And we also have come out with the concept of a Tuticorin CEU. It's called SPEEDS. The Tuticorin Employment and Economic Development Zone, Smart Port Employment and Economic Development Zone. Now this SPEEDS is a kind of an SEZ which has about 1,500 acres of land available, and we are giving it at a concessional rate of about 2.8 lakh per acre and on lease per annum. And therefore also we can give it on a 30-year lease, so on an NP basis. So anyone interested in setting up their industry here in Tuticorin, we welcome them. We have land right away. Someone was talking about plug and play. Mr. Kanoria was talking about plug and play. So we have land available which you can take on a plug and play model, and everything that you want, whether it is, and water. Even for water, we've made arrangements. As you would be aware, SIPCOT is setting up a 60 MLD desal plant. So water, and it's already, the tender has been settled. So it should be ready in about a couple of years, in a year or so. So water, land, green power, and we've already done the prospecting for green power, wind power, and we found this is a very, very lucrative area for wind power with average speeds of 6 to 7 meters per second. And therefore we have called for expressions of interest for about 150 megawatts is the potential for wind energy. So we've done that. So we congratulate the ICC for this excellent initiative of bringing together the government of Tamil Nadu, all the infrastructure providers, as well as the industry and those interested in investment, getting them all together on one platform, ensuring that they talk to each other is a way of ensuring that the investments flow. And as to the idea that was expressed about a data farm, I think that's a very good idea. It's a fact that we are one of the driest areas in the state, if not in South India, and therefore a data farm does make sense. And if you know, for instance, Virudhunagar, Shivkashi, that belt is so dry that they manufacture firecrackers, and one reason is because it's dry. Therefore, and also that Zoho has set up its center in Tenkasi, which is very nearby. And of course, there are any amount of other facilities and infrastructure in and around Tuticorin, including recreational and so on. Therefore, I welcome all of you. I welcome you to invest here in Tuticorin, in Tamil Nadu, and to make use of this opportunity that ICC is giving you to explore the possibility of collaborating with both the government and other infrastructure providers here in Tamil Nadu. So let me thank Mr. Dimbalya Banerjee and all the other Mr. Rajiv Reddy and all the others who made this session possible, and wish them the very best in taking this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramachandran. In fact, I have been spending now a decade with Chamber of Commerce. First time I'm hearing a, chairman of a port, giving a call for overall industrialization. Salute to you, sir, for your spirit. This is a new exposure and experience for me. You want the overall development of your port. This is, going beyond the call of your duty. Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging words. And, it's a new experience. So this gives a lot of confidence to the people, to the investors, and we have so many senior people here today who have already invested billions of dollars. And there are many people who are hearing. I'm getting so many questions here in the panel. We have to put it up to the people, to the speakers today. This gives a lot of confidence about the ability of the state, that the civil servants are there who will work as enablers to the business. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramachandran. Really appreciate your kind words and your powerful deliberation, and very passionately delivered indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May I now request His Excellency Mr. Yong Seok Kwon, Consul General of Republic of Korea to Chennai, to share his words with us. Incidentally, Korean community, they have the highest number of expatriates in the city, and Korea's biggest investments in India is lying in Tamil Nadu. So obviously, it's by default that we will be having the Korean Consul General with us, and it's very gracious and kind of him to consider and accept our invitation to be part of this session today. So, Excellency, kindly share your thoughts with us, how we can strengthen the relationship further.
Good morning, everybody. Vanakkam. As your Consul General covering the South India, including Tamil Nadu, I am very honored to have an opportunity to give a short speech on the prospect of Tamil Nadu as an investment destination. As you know, Tamil Nadu has been the most attractive investment destinations for Korean companies since India opened its market in 1990s. So as of today, more than 250 Korean companies are operating in Tamil Nadu, and over 4,000 Korean residents are living, occupying the biggest expatriate community in Chennai. Hyundai Motors is the biggest exporter in Tamil Nadu, as well as the biggest investor in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has lots of relative advantage against other countries and states in attracting foreign direct investments, including the business-friendly governance and the political stabilities, relatively good infrastructures, plentiful, qualified human resources, and well-established clustering in automobile, electronics, and IT sectors. I also know that Tamil Nadu government, in particular, the guidance has been making best efforts to have more foreign and domestic investments, including establishing country-specific single-window help desk, and has succeeded in getting lots of new investment, even during the lockdown, including from Taiwan and other countries. As a Consul General, I want to have more Korean investment in India, in particular in Tamil Nadu. So to have more additional investment from Korean companies in Tamil Nadu, we have to recognize the current difficulties to have more investment. So first, compared to other countries, companies, including Taiwanese, big Korean companies had moved their production facilities to India more quickly and have already established successful comprehensive local supply chains in India, together with a lot of their suppliers. Hyundai Motors built its own factory in 1997 in Chennai. Now has 2 factories producing 700,000 cars a year. Samsung Electronics began to produce the electronic goods in 1996 in Noida and Chennai. And Kia Motors began to produce around 300,000 cars a year in 2019 in Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. LG built its factory to produce TVs, refrigerators and air conditioners in 1998 in Noida and in 2004 in Pune. Second, medium-sized Korean companies with advanced technologies are interested in in investing in India, but has been a little bit reluctant to invest in India due to the high entry costs and uncertainties at the early stage of new investment. It is also true that it is not easy for medium-sized companies to invest in India alone without getting help from big Korean companies. Thirdly, although the business environment in Tamil Nadu is relatively good, it needs to be improved. Infrastructures, including roads, ports, airports, railroads, water, and electricity, need to be improved. And administrative efficiency, including customs procedures, need to be improved. And the improvement of living conditions, including international school and golf courses, are needed. Chennai is better to, personally, I think that Chennai is better to have another excellent international school which can compete with the current American school, and to have better golf or other leisure facilities for expatriates, and need to be more globalized, including having more robust global community and the global attitudes. To have more investment from Korean companies in Tamil Nadu, we have to recognize the above difficulties and have to figure out the best ways to resolve them under the current situation. I think we have a very good potential to increase mutual investment, and Korea is the best partner to upgrade India's industrial sectors. First, as you know, there are very big possibilities for big Korean companies already investing in India to invest more in Tamil Nadu and India. Korean big companies invested in India have been very, very successful and continue to expanding their production facilities and upgrading their production lines in line with new technological development. Korean companies are greatly contributing not only making the India policy by establishing robust and comprehensive local ecosystem, but also make for world initiative by becoming the leading exporter. So to invest more, they have to continue to expand their domestic market shares and increase their exports and transform their traditional goods and services in line with the changing environment, including electronic cars. So Korean mobile phone and electronics companies like Samsung, LG, have been fiercely competing with Chinese and American companies, and Korean car companies are also fiercely competing with Japanese and other companies. Even during the lockdown, in spite of very high risk of health, all Korean business people have stayed in India and have been doing their best for Indian government to overcome the COVID pandemic and to revitalize Indian economy and to increase their exports to other countries. Several Korean companies have a plan to increase their production facilities in the near future and to build a core component making factory in India, like Samsung Display in Noida. Sometimes expanding the existing companies is more important than having new investment from new companies. Korean companies are really good at exporting their products and have been trying to becoming the regional hub, regional headquarters in the whole Indian Ocean area. To achieve it, I think having more free trade agreement networks is very, very important. In this respect, I think the ASEAN countries have much wider free trade, agreement networks, compared to India, and have an advantage against India. And giving more incentives to exports under the WTO rules is also very, very important. The Indian domestic market is huge and has been expanding rapidly, but the global and the regional markets are much bigger. And if Tamil Nadu can become the regional hub in Indian Ocean, like under the Chola dynasty, it can create much more high-paying jobs and become the economic center in the Indian Ocean, covering Africa, West Asia, and South Asia, and Southeast Asia. Also, in addition, Korean companies have a plan to upgrade their products and supply chains in accordance with the new technological developments, including electronic cars and green technologies. So according to Bloomberg 2021 Innovation Index, Korea is the world's most innovative country, #1 for 7 years among the last 9 years. So Korea has been really good at patent activity, R&D intensity, high technology density, and value-added manufacturing. So if India has enough demand for electronics cars, Korean car makers would establish their electronics car making facilities in India, and Korea's world best electronic battery makers like LG, SK, Samsung Chemicals will build their battery production facilities in Tamil Nadu, like in the USA. I know that the Indian central government and Tamil Nadu government has a plan to develop new industries, including electronic cars. And sure, Tamil Nadu will have very, very excellent electronic car clustering and ecosystem in the near future in cooperation with Korean companies. In particular, the IT triangle, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad in the software area can play a very, very important role to upgrade driverless cars in cooperation with Korean companies, which are very good at the hardware sectors. As you know, cars have been becoming more and more one type of electronic goods. So second, there are lots of other big Korean companies, including POSCO, which want to build its own steel company in India. And large of medium-sized Korean companies with very advanced technology are also interested in investing in India. The medium-sized companies want to actively participate in the vibrant supply chains in India in industries of automobile, IT, electronics, and chemicals, machinery, and textiles, like middle-sized companies from Germany and Japan. As you know, lots of German or Japanese middle-sized companies with very highly advanced technology have already invested in India. They are very actively involving in the supply chain in India, so including Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has to compete with other states and other countries. The competition is very, very fierce to attract more foreign direct investment from Korea or other countries. The more active promotion by the Tamil Nadu government is also very, very important. This is just a personal opinion. Sometimes I think Tamil Nadu people are too much humble and conservative, comparing to other states. Although Tamil Nadu has much better conditions for investment. So also for the mid-sized companies with high technology, new custom-made approach are needed because maybe needed to give a special treatment because they cannot get any help from big Korean companies in the process of investing and operating in India. Up to now, most of middle-sized Korean companies have invested in India with big Korean companies like Hyundai or Samsung or other Korean big companies. But in addition, those middle-sized companies, there are middle-sized Korean companies which want to invest in India alone. So they need a special treatment. So in this respect, I think it is good, good. Maybe recently I visited the Mahindra World City. So if middle-sized Korean company can have a place in Mahindra city, the Mahindra city or other industrial park can provide very excellent services for the newcomers. So I think taking advantage of various industrial parks like Mahindra, World City, instead of building their own factories at the new place is maybe alternative, good option. Also, the positive personal comments from business environment, from existing Korean companies is very important in the process of new investment decision by the new companies. When they have any question about new investment destination, they will want to have opinions of Korean businessmen who have been living and working in Tamil Nadu. If they get a negative comment, the investment would be over. Thirdly, I want to emphasize the importance of Korean companies as a buyer of Indian ingredients and components in various industries, including automobile, electronics, and textiles. Whenever I attend the business meeting, including Indian Chamber of Commerce or CII or Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce, industry and commerce, I have met lots of Indian businessmen with existing business relations with Korean companies in India and in Korea in various interests. I think the integration of supply and value chain needed to be deeper and wider. In particular, Korean companies in India and Korea are very, very active in finding and supporting local suppliers. For example, Hyundai Motors localization rate is over 90% and producing engines and transmissions to most important and expensive components in India instead of importing them from Korea. In this respect, the frequent two-way exchange of business delegation of various industries is very, very important. I hope all of you to become more active to visit and find Korean buyers for your products. Finally, I want to talk about the relations between cultural exchange and the economic exchange and the importance of exchange of normal persons, including students and tourists. Korean cultural products like K-pop, dramas, and movies are gaining popularity rapidly, even during the lockdown. And the increasing popularity of Korean cultural products has been leading to the popularity of Korean cosmetics, processed goods, and fashions. Recently, Amazon India created a special Korean section selling Korean foods, cosmetics, clothing, and other products. I hope Indian customers can have an easier access to Korean products via online or offline. In addition, more Indian young talented students want to study in Korea and to learn Korean language. And their learning of Korean language and Korean cultures and their experience in studying in Korea will greatly improve their employability in the big Korean companies and greatly contribute to improving mutual understanding. And Bangalore region has been increased among Korean community. In addition, the transit customers at the Incheon airport to the western part of the United States and other countries are plentiful, considering lots of Tamil immigrants in the USA and other countries and Western expatriates working in IT triangle in the South India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. The launching of the direct flight will greatly increase people-to-people exchange as well as economic exchange. I hope more Koreans have an opportunity to visit and enjoy the beautiful natural and cultural attractions in the South India, including Tamil Nadu, while more Tamil people, including business people, have an opportunity to visit Korea. I am very pleased to have an opportunity to meet all of you through even through virtual conference, and want to meet all of you physically in the near future. Thank you very much. Mikan Andri.
Thank you so much, Excellency. You spoke very well and in terms of the bilateral relationship, very passionate in terms of your deliberation. I now request host to connect with Dr. Mittal. Dr. Mittal.
Yeah.
investors coming to Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
It was a wonderful presentation by, Dr. Now, Honorable Minister will be joining little late. The department officers and ICC officials are both, communicating with him. So I would now like to propose a formal hearty thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, it was wonderful, hear the deliberations from the morning. We had speeches by Rajiv Reddy, chairman of Southern Regional Council of ICC. We had Mr. Josh Folger. We had Mr. Ramachandran, and Honorable Consul General Dr. Mittal was connected, and the presentation with respect to the industrial policy was given. So I think most of the business leaders who spoke, including and the diplomats who spoke very high of Tamil Nadu as an investor-friendly destination. This is something very noteworthy, and this is something which adds a lot of credibility to the state as is in the foray to attract more investments in already a developed arena. So I do not need to add much to whatever has been spoken from the morning by the business leaders, but under the leadership of Rajiv Reddy will continue to work closely with the industries department and with the industries at large and the diplomatic missions which are based out of Tamil Nadu to aid more industrial development and industrialization of the state. We would like to thank each one of you for taking your time out and delivering your views, your vision. And let me say, after a long time, I am seeing every one of you, each one of you have delivered your speeches very, very passionately. The fact that all of you are serious about forthcoming investments in Tamil Nadu. With this note, I would like to propose a formal hearty vote of thanks, and I'd like to request all concerned to carry it with a note of acclamation. Thank you so much. We will move to session number 2. The session number 2 will progress, and meanwhile, the Honorable Minister will be joining and he will share his words. May I now request Mr. Indranil Dasgupta, CEO of Ativo, here to share his presentation with us. Mr. Dasgupta is already an existing investor, so they have this AMRL SEZ at Tuticorin, and port chairman was very forthright, and he spoke very passionately about this particular SEZ and requested all stakeholders to continue being part of this, because this SEZ is definitely going to make the Tuticorin area more vibrant in terms of its industrial outreach. So, Mr. Dasgupta.
Thank you. Thank you, Dev Malia, for the introduction. Honored panelists who are attending this session of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, and all the participants, a very, very hearty good afternoon to all of you. I am here to speak on the AMRL SEZ, which is a 2,500 acre SEZ located in Tuticorin. Can I request for the next slide, please? So the first question, why have we decided to invest in Tamil Nadu? I think the answer has been is obvious. It is the second largest state economy in India, contributes to 8.4% of India's GDP. In PPP terms, it has $610 billion, bigger than Vietnam, Belgium, Sweden, and New Zealand. It has a GSDP of $264.1 billion in FY 1920 with a CAGR of 12.2%. It is the first in the country in terms of industrial performance, in the number of operational SEZs and number of persons employed. It ranks 9th globally in the production of renewable energy, with being a power surplus state, and it is one of the most urbanized states with 48.5% people living in the urban area. Now, having understood why Tamil Nadu, we have to understand why southern Tamil Nadu. Why is our SEZ in southern Tamil Nadu? Can I request for the next slide, please? First, in southern Tamil Nadu, as has been explained by my colleague and chairman, Mr. Hemant Kanodia, and also Mr. Ramachandran, there is a huge availability of skilled manpower. We will cover this a bit more in the next phase of the presentation. There are over 100 polytechnic and ITI colleges present in the region and in the surrounding regions of Tuticorin, Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli, etc. The cost of labor is quite low compared to other competing economies in the country, even in other parts of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat. It is quite low. We will also cover this a bit later. There is a very large established MSME base which caters to the large industries in close proximity to Tuticorin, to southern Tamil Nadu, and to a certain extent in southern Tamil Nadu itself. The proximity to the seaport of Tuticorin, as Mr. Ramachandran has said, which is markets of the Middle East, the EU, the UK, and the USA, either through direct connections or through daily connections from Colombo. And there is a concerted push by the government to industrialize the southern district with policies and additional incentives in setting up industrial units in southern districts of Tamil Nadu. Next slide. In this background, we have the AMRL SEZ, which is a meticulously planned industrial township. It is over 2,500 acres. It is located in Nanguneri in the Tirunelveli district, very near Tuticorin. It is a multi-product special economic zone with a 100-acre free trade warehousing zone already identified and notified. More than 134 acres of land has already been allotted to various segments, and MOU for 120 acres have been signed for subsequent offtake. There are many occupiers here. More than 12 occupiers are already here in the SEZ, but there is plenty of space available for companies like Foxconn and others to come in and set up their manufacturing base here. The next slide, please. This, in terms of connectivity, it is very strategically located to all the key demand supply hubs. As you can see, this is roughly about an hour's distance from the Tuticorin Port, which is the main gateway for this SEZ. It is near three major airports. The Madurai International Airport and the Trivandrum International Airport are roughly about 1.5 to 2 hours away. And the Tuticorin Airport is less than about 45 minutes away from this SEZ. So in terms of air connectivity, there are multiple options available. And in terms of distances from the key regional production and consumption hubs, we have Tirunelveli within 30 minutes driving distance. Chennai is hardly about 8-9 hours away, 600 kilometers. Madurai is about 2 hours away. Coimbatore is about 5-6 hours away. So it is very strategically located right on the national highway of Kanyakumari to Kashmir. And there is a lot of the connectivity there is no problem in the connectivity. As Mr. Ramachandran said, the connectivity is now getting even further expanded from 4-lane to 8-lane. So you can actually, the condition of the roads, the condition of the infrastructure is so superb here that it is to be seen to be believed. Next slide, please. Can you, next slide, please. In terms of infrastructure, it is plug and play. Infrastructure is available here with 24/7 power. And we have the capability, because the government of Tamil Nadu has been kind enough to give us the distribution license to a sister organization, India Power, and who have the distribution license to supply power at competitive rates, lower than the grid. Water and sewage pipelines, water is already available. 2 MLD supply has already been there for TWAD, and with the possibility of augmentation to 30 MLD. There is a 50 kL sewage treatment plant at site, and there are the plans of augmentation here. Internal roads are laid. The roads are all of IRC standards, and there is a 45-meter, 24-meter, and 18-meter internal road network lined with street lights. There is a dedicated lease line for internet connectivity. There is ample source of human resources, which we shall see in the next slides. Tirunelveli is called the Oxford of South India. So as you can see from the next slides, the infrastructure photos are there. This is the entrance. On the left-hand side, there is a roundabout which shows a spinal road. Arterial roads are well laid out with electricity. An operational factory unit is shown also. Next slide, please. The dedicated TNEB substation is already there, and that can be water storage tank is there. There is already a 1 lakh square foot warehouse built inside the free trade warehousing zone. Other warehouses are under advanced stages of planning. Next slide. So why AMRL SEZ? Obviously, in terms of infrastructure connectivity, there is a direct access to the national highway at 60 minutes to Tuticorin Port. Most importantly, there is an availability of large contiguous land parcels for cluster development with plug and play option. So industries like defense, industries like textile, industries like electronics, renewable energies can easily come in. We have multiple options of leasing of land and rental of ready-built space. We have the ability to provide workers' dormitory and skill development center. As I said earlier, we have the option to provide cheaper electricity. So for all electricity intensive ventures, especially ventures like data centers and other electricity intensive industries, this would be an added advantage. In addition to that, of course, we have the government of Tamil Nadu solidly with us. It's a joint venture with TIDCO, and there is an inherent state advantage and significant initiatives by the government to promote industry in Southern District. Next slide. Coming to the gateway, the best in class is Tuticorin Port. It is about 80 kilometers from the port. And as Mr. Ramchandran has said very explicitly, this is one of the fastest growing ports and amongst the 12 major ports in India. It's the fourth largest and the most efficient container terminal on times. Given it has a 14.2 meter draft facility. Already 2 container terminals are operational. A third container terminal is in the stage of planning. There are direct shipments to Dubai, further connecting to the EU and US. There is daily shipments to Colombo. And most important, from the time perspective, there is just a 24-hour turnaround time for cargo loading from AMRL SEZ. So this gives anybody who wants to export and import a substantial advantage in terms of operating from the Tuticorin Port and from AMRL SEZ. AMRL SEZ already has a designated customs officer located at site. So there is no lost while you are exporting from the SEZ to the port, which is a massive advantage insofar as exports are concerned. Next slide. Insofar as labor is concerned, the manpower, there is a population of 8 million in Tirunelveli with a high literacy rate, about 82.5% in Tirunelveli district, 86% in Tuticorin, 91% in Kanyakumari. There is the wages that you can see are very economical. Engineers are at the rate of rupees 30,000 per month. Skilled and low skilled manpower at the rate of 15,000 and 9,500 rupees per month, which compares very favorably with the rest of the nation. If you go to the next slide, you will see that the number of, please go to the next slide. Yeah, the number of colleges and schools in vicinity of the AMRL SEZ are substantial. There are more than 546 schools, 66 colleges, 104 polytechnic and ITI colleges, 54 science colleges, all within a radius of 60 kilometers of the AMRL SEZ. So there is no dearth of educational manpower, and there is no dearth of skilled and unskilled labor which this SEZ faces. Next slide, please. In terms of incentives, I presume this would be known to a lot of people. All the SEZ incentives and FTWZ incentives are available. Zero rated IGST, 100% FDI available. There is no import duty. These are all incentives available from the government of India. Next slide. And of course, there are incentives available from the southern Tamil Nadu government. These are a few of our clients. Just to give you an example, we have LED manufacturers, we have electronic equipment manufacturers, we have pump manufacturers, we have Belpins, which is one of our largest customers. We have Electrona, who is in the process of manufacturing solar panels. We have Ashray Logistics, who are doing warehousing there. So we would welcome you all to AMRL SEZ. Next slide. And that's the last slide. We would welcome you all to AMRL SEZ, and we have had excellent experience with the government of Tamil Nadu in facilitating investments inside the SEZ, and we hope to continue this in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dasgupta. You gave a very comprehensive presentation. I am sure people who are attending this particular program, especially the foreign companies, they should take advantage of your SEZ. Just to share with you, I am given to understand from my colleagues who have coordinated for organizing companies are already part of today's delegate list, and their representatives are whatever you are we are all discussing here. I hope these American companies also look forward to considering your facility at Tuticorin.
Yes, we would welcome them to come to AMRL. We welcome them to Tamil Nadu, and we are available at a moment's call for meeting any of their expansion needs.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now may I request the next speaker, Mr. Zasaria Karunakaran, to share his deliberation with us.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. So I think Dr. Dares Ahmed is in a meeting with secretary, so I'm just handling this session on his behalf. So I represent the pharma team and the medical devices team here at Guidance. So we work closely with all the departments, and we facilitate industries and investments into the state of Tamil Nadu. So I think I will begin sharing my short presentation I have for you. I think it doesn't give me the option to share it.
Yeah, Debu, give him the rights to share.
Just give me time, probably.
Yeah, you will get the rights.
All right.
Yeah, you'll get the rights to share. Debu, is it done? Yeah, you have got the presenter rights, so you can now share the screen.
All right. I think it's more.
So you run your presentation, sir.
Yes, yes. Just a second. I think it's come on Deepa's laptop. I'm just sharing it. Yeah, just.
Yeah, it's there. You can start. You can start. Hello.
Okay, can you mute it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hi. Sorry about that.
Sir, there is an echo because I am seeing at my panel that from the double laptop you have joined, sir. Kindly log out from one, sir. Either.
Is it better now, sir?
Yeah, right now it's okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Yeah, sorry for the delay. So, like I said, Dr. Daris Ahmed is away, so I'll just make a brief presentation on the pharma and medical device ecosystem in Tamil Nadu for this opportunity. So, I mean, just to give you a brief background, I mean, Tamil Nadu has a lot of promise in the pharma and medical device sector. We are already the 5th largest pharmaceutical manufacturing state with 400 plus companies in drugs, formulation, and medical devices. And we contribute about 4.3% in the national employment for the sector. And of course, I mean, skilling is a major part on which we focus. And like you can see, we have about 80 plus pharma and higher education institutes in the states who impart higher education in this field and thereby assuring us of a steady flow of skilled labor. And just if I can draw your attention to the bottom of this slide, we have a number of leading players already established in Tamil Nadu. So, I mean, most recently when Honorable CM exchanged MOUs in the previous function that was held a couple of months ago, we had about 3 to 4 players from the pharma industry, including players such as Mylan Laboratories that are highly involved in cutting edge therapeutics and injectables. So we have major players who have set up. We already have established players such as Tuticorin Healthcare. We have Biocon. We have TTK Healthcare, Maladi Drugs. So I think what we are trying to kind of push is that we might have been a little slow while starting off. We're not afraid to admit it compared to other states such as Maharashtra or an AP, but we are slowly catching up. And in fact, the pace has quickened lately. And I'll just tell you why. Now, these are some of the clusters where we see a lot of promise in Tamil Nadu. We recently inaugurated a new Taisel biopark in Coimbatore, and it is ready for occupancy. So right now we are getting a lot of interest from biotech companies who are involved in R&D that they want dedicated spaces, and Taisel is one such place. Similarly, I mean, Hosur and Chennai are, of course, the without a doubt, the places where people normally flock to because of the skilled ecosystem as well as the quality of life these two places offer. Something that we have really come to understand, and based on our interactions with industry, that it's not just the allocation of land or in an industrial park or the skill ecosystem, the quality of life matters a lot. And that is where we are looking at stakeholders to kind of help us out in building this ecosystem up. And of course, we have our southern districts, which we are looking to develop in a very big way. And the new industrial policy continues to give a boost to the southern districts. And we have about 28 SIPCOT industrial parks spread across the state. And we are planning to really push and give primacy to pharma and medical devices in the state. And you will see a lot of supportive measures from our side. As Dr. Mittal would have probably briefed you in the morning, we are treating pharma and medical devices as a sunrise sector. So basically, we have a blank book and we are telling the companies, rather than us telling them what they're eligible for, we are telling the companies, you come to us with your wish list and we will make sure that we ground your project in Tamil Nadu and we make it an attractive proposition for you. So, I mean, like I said, skill development and training, this is a feedback we've always got from industries that the skill ecosystem is something they really consider while coming in. I mean, needless to say, apart from Tamil Nadu being a hub for medical tourism, where around 40 to 50% of all medical tourism arrivals in India come to Tamil Nadu, this is a huge feather in our cap. Apart from that, we have a number of very good colleges. I mean, CMC, of course, everybody knows, VIT. I mean, Tamil Nadu Agricultural University houses a lot of bio incubators and startups, and they kind of really help them ground their companies. And every year we have about 1 million graduates joining the workforce. We have ITIs, we have your polytechnics, And we have registered institutes that provide very specialized pharma and biotech degrees. So I think we are kind of ready to take advantage of the growth that we are going to see in this sector. And I think we're really well positioned. And this is what I think we at Guidance, we really want to stress, that we are giving a special emphasis to this sector. And I'll skip these slides because I think Dr. Mittal would have probably briefed you a lot more about what the new policy offers to investors. We have a presentation on this, but I think you'll have heard enough on this already, so we can have a detailed discussion later. I just want to talk to you very briefly about how we are planning to support the pharma industry in Tamil Nadu. Now, Honorable CM has announced a bulk truck park coming up very close to Chennai. This is going to be spread across 2,000 acres. It is going to have common advanced facilities effluent treatment is one of the most concerning things because we have environmental concerns. At the same time, today companies are a lot more conscious about not leaving a bad footprint. So we are going to take this upon ourselves, and we're going to say we will construct all these common facilities for companies. Now, of course, we have a single window system for all approvals of the project related licenses, running licenses, whatever it is. So we take care of everything. All we want the companies to do is just come up and set up, and we are here to guide them. And similarly, this bulk truck park is going to cater to our shift towards lessening our import dependency on APIs from various countries. And I think if anything we learned from this COVID experience was that we really need to be self-sufficient. And if something like this was to happen, that tomorrow we can take care of ourselves as a state. And we also have a 350-acre medical devices park coming up at Oragadam, very close to Chennai in the Sri Perumbudur belt. And this is going to be dedicated to medtech and medical devices companies. And we are seeing a lot of interest in this area. Just this morning, we were talking to a couple of companies who are really keen to come and set up base over here. And the proximity to high-class institutions and such as the IIT Madras. And the very important thing that we need to also keep in mind is that we are leaders in electronics. And the synergy that electronics has with medical devices is really going to help us become leaders in this sector. And we are already talking to, we have a number of players already, Trivitron, Phoenix, Stan, Bebron, and we are looking to engage with many more players who are likely to join us in our growth journey. And so these are some of the upcoming industrial parks, and we have more lined up. I think in the next 1 month, you're going to see a lot more industrial parks announced specifically for sunrise sectors. And I think that's something really exciting that we can look forward to. Of course, the investment opportunities that exist in Tamil Nadu right now spread across manufacturing, services, and R&D. Manufacturing, of course, with the PLI scheme announced by the government of India, we are seeing a lot of interest in people who want to scale up their API production, medical equipment. We are seeing a lot of interest in nutraceuticals. Now, people are heavily invested in R&D, given that we need to be prepared for both preventive and other types of healthcare concerns. And contract manufacturing, of course, we are talking to a number of players who are keen on getting into this. And finally, medical devices. This is one area where Tamil Nadu really wants to ramp up its portfolio. And these are some of the broad areas such as prosthetics, dental products, consumables. And this medical devices park in Oragadam is going to ensure that all these products are produced here. And we are talking to leading international players who have investment plans in India, and they are most likely closing in on Tamil Nadu. So I hope that we can make this a success. So this is my very short presentation on Tamil Nadu as an investment destination for pharma and medical devices. A bit about guidance, as Dr. Mittal, our MD and CEO, would have probably spoken. We are the nodal agency. We are open 24/7. Any grievance redressal for industries, any approval related matters, any information that you require from start to finish, we are here to support you. And I will leave you with our contact details. So myself and my colleague Gaurav, we handle the pharma desk here at Guidance. So if any investor or any stakeholder wishes to reach out to us, we are available all the time. So thank you so much, and looking forward to hearing from you after this offline. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation from your side. In fact, I was mentioning to Mr. Dasgupta some time back that 11 American companies have joined. I was now given to understand some more Korean companies, Saudi Arabian companies, German companies also joined today's session. I'm sure with the zeal with which you had presented work, more, more accolades are going on your lap, on your plate, and people will genuinely take advantage. See, you are getting from all good business leaders. Mr. Kanoria endorsed you people. Mr. Josh Folger endorsed. All of them have got so much of support from the department and guidance. So I'm sure the people who are in the queue, who are willing to invest, will get a lot of confidence when they will see that passionately driving the industrial agenda with no self-interest. Once again, may I now request Ms. Sai Sudha Chandrasekharan, Invest India. She's from Invest India and she will be sharing her PPT with us. Invest India is partner to ICC for this meaningful program. And without their support, again, on a national level, doing things becomes very difficult. And Sai Sudha had been very helpful. She had helped this program's message reach a larger audience and helped us to prepare this program minute to minute, help us to draft this program in a very, very cognizable fashion. So thank you so much, Sai Sudha. It's all yours now. Kindly present.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Banerjee. Just checking, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, great. So before I move on to the presentation, it's always very difficult to follow through stalwarts and industry leaders after they've made a presentation. So I'm going to do an address where I talk about Tamil Nadu from the central government point of view, the support and incentives the central government is providing for the state, and in general, the support the central government of India provides for all the investors who are looking at India, especially the Korean nationals. I'm also going to take a minute to talk about the special bond India and Korea share. So before that, I'm Sai Sudha. I am from Invest India. Invest India is the national investment promotion and the facilitation agency set up by the government of India under the aegis of DPIIT Ministry of Commerce. We are a not-for-profit organization where our mandate is to handhold the investors that are looking to come to India, number one, and number two, handhold the investors who are already there in India to help them resolve some of their issue. As much as looking for new investors is our core mandate, so much is our interest in resolving the issues that the current investors have, because we strongly believe the best ambassadors for your businesses are the foreign investors who are already there in India. So this is the core mandate for Invest India. At Invest India, we have a specialized Korea Plus desk where we have a dedicated team of members that looks at several outreach activities, as well as help investors identify some of the issues they're helping and help them solve. Needless to say, Tamil Nadu is one of the foremost states we work with, and Tamil Nadu is a leading state for us, especially with respect to Korean investors as well. It is a huge pleasure to be associated with Guidance Tamil Nadu and work very closely with Dr. Mittal and the entire Guidance team as well. So Republic of Korea has, historically been a very key economic partner to us, and it is rightly placed, India is rightly placed at this juncture to welcome more and more Korean investments with the kind of synergies both the nations are today developing. India's Act East policy perfectly and beautifully complemented by the Korea's new Southern policy. So everything falls in line with our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of making India and especially the Atmanirbhar Bharat today. Today, Korea is a very, very key player and a key partner in helping India, and to become a mutual partners is in the fact that Korea is the third largest Asian foreign direct investor into India. From April 2000 to today, Korea has invested about $4.7 billion into India. That is a huge testament. Today, India is home if I'm not wrong, India is home to about 15,000 Korean nationals, at least 15,000 Korean nationals today. And we are seeing India very fast adapt to the model that Korean investors are looking for here. What is the model they are looking for? They're looking at plug and play facilities, number one, right from Mr. T.K. Ramchandran and Mr. Josh, all of them very rightly pointed out, there is a heavy need for plug and play facilities for which industrial parks should be there, which means not just industrial parks. If you want clusters to move around, a township around them should automatically develop, thanks to some of the giants, Korean giants that are there in India, right from Hyundai to Kia Motors to Samsung to LG. Today, we see organically townships developing around the clusters, around the anchor units that Korean businesses have set up in India. And that is a huge win for both the Korean investors and for the industrial township as well that is there in India. So today, Tamil Nadu is regarded as the auto capital of India, and this would not have been possible without Korea's investments into India and Tamil Nadu's absolute and relentless support in ensuring Hyundai today is what it is today in our country. So this complements the energies between the Korea and Tamil Nadu as well. To also augment the growing cultural ties between India and Korea as well, in New Delhi last year in September, we also opened the Indo-Korean Friendship Park in New Delhi. So that is also a testament to the strong bond that government of India wants to nurture about Republic of Korea as well. Today, I can very confidently say there is almost no household in India that has not been touched by a Korean influence, right? From Samsung, your TV or your car or to your electronics or your mobile phones to air conditioner, consumer appliances. Korean electronics have touched our lives in more than many ways, and for which we are very glad and happy to support you in Korea's endeavor into growing even further in India. Today, Hyundai Motors is the second largest car manufacturer in India as well. This is also an indication that not only that India and Tamil Nadu is a huge place for manufacturing, but India is one of the best its strategic location for the domestic market as well. India has two fantastic advantages. One, it provides you with a strategic location for you to consider it as as an export hub. And number two, India provides you the unprecedented domestic market as well. So today, every person who graduates and gets into their job, their dream is within a year or two to buy a Santro, to buy an i10, so which is all Hyundai's products. So the dream of owning a Korean product is ingrained in all of us because of the kind of technology you bring to the table, and we all know you are one of the world leaders in bringing technology and innovation as well. So not only the traditional sectors, Korea has started looking at India, but there is, of late, we have seen a lot of interest in Korean funds wanting to invest, seed funds wanting to invest in the Indian startup as well. So to this effect, India Korea has set up a startup bridge where several large seed funds and corporations are a part of it, where we identify a problem and take help from a startup to see how that can be resolved. Two successful startup challenges were executed, and companies like SBI Startup Launchpad Challenge and the Mahindra Rural Health Challenge, these were the two startups that were successfully startup. And also an India Korea Startup Center has also been set up in the India's NCR region, the National Capital Region as well. So all this draws us to the one obvious conclusion that the synergy between India and Korea is here to stay and is here to grow very well. This presents us the synergy that being global leaders across various sectors such as the electronics and automotives, and India offers a very suitable and a conducive environment for them to not only manufacture and the market, is one of the key things that's going to drive this partnership further. So recognizing this, our Honorable Prime Minister last year in May also made a remark saying we will be going towards achieving our $5 trillion economy through the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Self-Reliant India campaign. And this will be based heavily on the 5 key pillars that India is today focusing on developing. The 5 pillars are economy, infrastructure, system, demography, and the demand that India gives for the Korean investors. So traditionally, we've looked at electronics, chemicals, petrochemicals, automobiles, auto components, are the sectors we have traditionally looked at. But today, like all the industry leaders before me presented and said, we are going to be looking at the sunrise sectors and new emerging sectors as well as the non-traditional sectors, the traditional but traditionally not been associated with India, Korea as well. We are beginning to look up right from food processing to defense to energy to startup. And like my previous presenter from Guidance very rightly said, the pharma and medical devices also hold a very, very strong potential between the two countries as well. So Tamil Nadu is no new state to everybody present here today. It is one of the foremost and the leading states India has to present to the world. Where I have seen, in the last many months, several countries were grappling to come back to normalcy. A lot of states are still fighting to come back to normal, but we saw Tamil Nadu rise up in the midst of pandemic to go out and sign a lot of MOUs worth close to over $10 billion and create multiple thousands, tens of thousands of employment opportunities from global leaders, companies, right from Americas to Germany to Switzerland to France to UK to the Middle East to Korea to Taiwan to Japan. Across the globe, we saw Tamil Nadu go ahead and win projects. That's because of the very robust industrial infrastructure that Tamil Nadu has in place today. Today, Tamil Nadu is ranked as one of the most safest states in India. It's not only number one in just the number of factories it has in terms of the industrial growth, but if you also look at the other key aspect that's not talked about, it's the ranked number one in the law and order and safety of citizens. It's ranked number one in India, all of India. So, and it is also has, like Mr. Indranil Dasgupta rightly mentioned, it churns out one of the most number of highly skilled labor force year on year. So we all know India, the average age of the prime working force in India today is at 29 years old. So that's the average, while in Tamil Nadu, it's much, much younger, because straight after the college, straight after the polytechnic education, undergraduation, post-graduation, the force is ready for you to work. The literacy rate in Tamil Nadu is one of the highest and strongest here as well. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the highlights of India. So today, our Prime Minister Modi had rightly indicated India is well on its way to achieving the $5 trillion opportunity mark here, that is in India. So some of the sectors, we have identified about 25 sectors into which this 5 trillion opportunity has been placed. The matrix has been developed by Invest India. Today, in electronics alone, there is a $400 billion opportunity. In chemical, it's a $300 billion opportunity. In the auto and auto components and the EV segment, about $500 billion opportunity. In the renewable sector, one of the new sectors that we're looking at collaborating with Korea, presents us a $180 billion opportunity today. In respect to food processing, there is a humongous, large opportunity of $535 billion opportunity as well. So at this juncture, I want to put these number here, not just put these number and walk away, but to wholeheartedly welcome more and more Korean investors, new Korean investors to look at India, and urge the existing Korean investors to relook at expanding further into India, and especially in the state of Tamil Nadu as well. So, I briefly mentioned about Tamil Nadu, how the resurgence of Tamil Nadu during the COVID period as well. So overall in India, one of the key aspects that have been very proudly identified by India is its ability to adapt and ability to change. So whoever is willing to change fast is the one that will survive the most. It's very evident in this particular fact. So about 18 months back or even 12 months back, India had almost a non-existent PPE manufacturing ability in India. It had zero market. But today, in a period of less than 12 months, India is the second largest manufacturer of the PPE kit in the world. From zero to being the second largest in the world, not only we are producing for our domestic population, we are producing and giving to various other countries as well, various first world countries, developed countries, underdeveloped countries, developing countries. We are sharing them and giving them as well. So today, 90% of the pre-COVID levels have been hit, especially in the e-commerce order volume as well. In terms of digital payments, today India has bounced back and we are at 100% of our digital payments as well. So this is an indication of how India has been extremely resilient and how we have been able to bounce back as well. Of course, this would not have been possible without the various reforms and measures put in place by the government of India. So I think in 2014, India was at 142 for the ease of doing business, but today we stand at number 63 in the ease of doing business, and we are also one of the lowest, I think number one in the Southeast Asian countries in terms of ease of doing business as well. We stand in the top 50 in the world in the Global Innovation Index as well. So that's another point for us to keep in mind. Today we have about 600 plus Korean companies, large Korean companies in India. Organically, they've been clustered with the highest concentration in the Delhi NCR region and the Tamil Nadu region. Organically, this is the highest concentration we are having, followed by Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. But from more and more, what we are seeing organically, Korean investors are gravitating towards the southern coastal part of India, which is Tamil Nadu as well. So right from the northern part of Tamil Nadu, right up to Tuticorin, the amount of potential availability of land, power, labor, everything is present in abundance in Tamil Nadu land. Tamil Nadu is not only the land of opportunities, I can quite confidently tell you it's the land of abundant opportunities as well today. So some of the reforms that the government has made in the last 12 years, I just want to highlight a few to bring those to your light as well. Today, the registration of the company registration process is much, much faster today than it was 10 years ago. Several repetitive, application filling procedure and several rules and procedures have today been subsumed by some of the key laws, key codes, where you do not have to do the same thing 10 times, where it was the case 10 years. The government had taken note of this. All this we took note because of the feedback mechanism that we deploy with the industry and investors as well. Constantly, they keep telling us feedback, and Invest India's core mandate is to act as the representative of the company to the government of India, and to act as the representative of the government of India to the investors is how we work. So continuously on a rolling basis, we do take feedback from the Korean investors and all global investors and see how best we can take it to the India's foremost policy makers and bring it to their attention to see how we can make it easy for them continuously is what we do. So today we also have very, very business friendly reforms. So today, for example, the Madhya Pradesh government today allows an paid overtime, wage working limit is increased up to 72 hours. And today Tamil Nadu runs several factories, not just single shift or 3 shift, it has or 2 shifts, up to 3 shifts. We allow the Tamil Nadu government houses multiple leading companies to go on for 3 different shifts. And these are all business friendly reforms. The government of India and all the states of India are very keenly following to encourage more collaboration between the two nations as well. Today we had simplified tax reforms as well. Last year in June, the Cabinet Secretariat brought in place two mechanisms, two very important key mechanisms called one is the Empowered Group of Secretary and the other is the Project Development Cell. So the Empowered Group of Secretary is a group of secretaries from various ministries that come together to see how I can speed track any bottlenecks that any of my investors are facing. So some of the key investors that come to us, we know are facing some sort of a bottleneck in some of their, it could be at the ministry level, it could be, just not being able to decide what is the best state or what is the best, size they want to, come into, enter into India with. So we help them with resolving such things. And if they are facing any bottlenecks, this group of secretaries will take it up with each of the respective ministries to speed track the issue resolution as well. The second I mentioned about is the Project Development Cell, where a key group has been formed to identify and develop the investable project opportunities in India to be presented to the investors as well. So these are some of the key measures that the Government of India has taken to improve the ease of doing business. So one of the reforms, the landmark reforms the Government of India did recently was about a year ago, more than a year ago, was the corporate tax reforms. I definitely feel we do not talk about this enough. Today, we stand one of the lowest in the world in terms of the corporate tax. Today, the tax rate has been reduced to 15%. So India stands at 15%. Every other nation, key competing nations stand way above us, like Singapore is 17, Thailand 20, Vietnam 20, and Malaysia 24, China 25, and Indonesia 25%, whereas India stands at 15%. So I also urge many investors to take complete advantage of this industrialization, this progressive industrialization that has happened as well. And today we heard from Dr. Mittal the new industrial policy of the government of Tamil Nadu has also been released, and I have gone through the industrial policy, and I can assure you it is one of the pro-industry policies that encourages more investment, and it's one of the extremely investor-friendly reforms that's present in anywhere in India, is something that I would like to tell you. So I also want to take just 2 minutes to tell you about the recently announced budget, which is very, very important. On February 1st, our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced the budget. So the budget today is going to be focused on, and a lot of funds have been allocated to 6 key pillars of the Indian economy. One is health and well-being, second is infrastructure, third is human capital, inclusive development, innovation, and we are placing key importance on developing a system which has minimum government but maximum governance as well. So this would not only increase our the investments, this also paves way to increase the bilateral trade relation as well as the bilateral investment relations between both the channel as well. So today we have some of the government has introduced something called the PLI production link incentive. Last year a pilot run was made only for the electronic sector, but today 13 sectors have been identified to come under the production link incentives as well. And we have an outlay of about 200,000 crore rupees, which can be taken advantage of, which the companies can benefit to this amount across all the 13 sectors. The 13 sectors include all the key sectors, traditional sectors, as well as the emerging sectors as well. So 1 or 2 examples of the key highlights, especially in the pharma and bio, the budget outlay has been increased to 2.23 lakhs crore rupees from an earlier budget of 0.94. So you can see the jump, 0.94 to 2.23 lakh crore has been increased to look at to lay further emphasis in the pharma and the bioceutical industry as well. So next is with respect to textiles, The BCD is the, basically the import duty, the basic custom duty of some of the key components in the textile production today has been decreased to 5% from 35%. So from 35 to today, it has dropped to about 5%. The second thing is today we have introduced in the automobile sector, we have introduced the voluntary scrapping policy as well. And with respect to ports and shipping, a subsidy support of 1,600 crores rupees to Indian shipping companies for global tenders has been given to them as well. And in respect to roads and railways as well, Western Dedicated Freight Corridor and the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor has been, will be commissioned by June 2022 as well. With respect to agriculture and fishery, the central government has sanctioned development of a multi-purpose seaweed park in Tamil Nadu as well, and 5 major modern fishing harbors are to be developed as well. And the ports that have been identified are Kochi, Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Paradeep, and Petuaga. These are the 5 ports that have been identified to further develop as well. With respect to oil and gas, 100 more districts have been added to the city gas distribution. That's respect to the oil sector as well. With respect to iron and steel, the BCD, the basic custom duty, has today been reduced to 7.5% from an earlier 10% for several of the key products, including non-alloy, alloy, and stainless steel material and byproducts as well. So from for the defense manufacturing, earlier, the government for the investment in the automatic route was only 50%, but today the government has increased it to 74%. This happened before the budget as well, but I'm just bringing it to your attention as well. The BCD for a lot of materials in the defense sector today has been reduced from 2.5% to a 0. It's at 0% for you to import certain key materials for you to manufacture in the defense sector. I can keep going on and on, but these are some of the highlights I want to bring to your attention to tell you not only the states, but the government is watching the comfort of investors, placing the comfort and the best opportunity for the investors. We are always trying to maximize the ROI for our investors. That is very evident in the budget that was announced on Feb 1st. And a week later in the new investment industrial policy that was announced by the government of Tamil Nadu as well. So that almost brings me to the end of my address. So if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. Mr. Debalya Banerjee, ICC, will be very happy to connect you to us. So we'll be very happy to work with you. Like I said, our mandate is to be the first point of reference for Korean investors who are looking at India. So with that, I will conclude my address. Mr. Banerjee, over to you.
Thank you so much. Perspective about Tamil Nadu and the country as a whole. I'm sure the foreign investors or delegates today will definitely gain advantage out of your deliberation. May I now request Dr. M.K. Shanmuga Sundaram, Development Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Department of Commerce, Government of India, to share his thoughts with us. Dr. Sundaram.
Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ban. Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible.
It's my pleasure and privilege to be part of this. We all know that the economy is on its way back in India. Yes. Scenario and also what is being done at the central government level, I would like to focus on crore investment will be a big thing. It's Tamil Nadu.
So your voice is not coming properly, sir. Just switch off your video, sir. It may be due to the bandwidth, low bandwidth at your end, sir.
Maybe Mr. Sundaram, you can switch off your video. That will help you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there is some bandwidth issue at your computer, maybe.
Okay, okay. Actually, I
আরো 5-10 মিনিটে পৌঁছে যাচ্ছে তো মোস্ট প্রবাবলি এর হতে হতে ওরা এসে যাবে লগইন করে আমি আপনাকে জানাবো
Could you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you very clear now.
Okay, what I was country, even with destinations, it has to be called as the.
I think you are just from on your mobile, so it may be the signal is not reaching at your end. You please just move from that room to the open location. It may be better because due to that signal up and downs, and it is coming and going off, sir.
Give me a minute. Hello.
Yes. Carry on. Yeah, maybe you can switch off your video and you can carry on. There is some bandwidth issue indeed. So you can switch off your video and carry on.
Hello.
Yes, carry on. We can hear you.
Okay, I have switched on both my audio and video. Hope you can either hear me or at least you can at least hear me.
We can hear you completely. We can hear you. You carry on.
Okay, I am stuck there.
Yeah, you carry on. You speak. We are hearing you.
We have to say in this even during the pandemic time, state has received the investments. We have to call Tamil Nadu is the destination for newer investments. That's what we can say. And if you look at the second quarter of 2020 and 21, that is this financial year, there were about 132 projects at the value of about 23,000 crore have been attracted. So if you see the economic activity in the state, there are three sectors, of course: service sector, manufacturing sector, and agriculture. So service sector contributes to about 45%, and manufacturing accounts for about 34%, and the remaining 21% is by the agriculture sector. So this is the way the three major sectors of economic activity is categorized in Tamil Nadu as per the going trends. We all know that Tamil Nadu is the auto state, in the sense that the auto sector is very robust here, and it is the number one in the country as far as auto sector is concerned. 45% of the auto exports are from Tamil Nadu within the country, and 35% of the auto components account from Tamil Nadu itself. So one state accounting for about 45% of the auto exports and 35% of the auto component production, that is a very big thing. not only the auto sector and also the electronics. Electronics, I think we are, the state is number 2 in the overall committee of all states put together. And we come to the special economic zones. Tamil Nadu has 48 special economic zones. To be precise, I'm the development commissioner for the special economic zones in this zone, which comprises of state of Tamil Nadu and union territories of Puducherry and Andaman Nicobar Islands. So all these 48 special economic zones are located within the state of Tamil Nadu, and they're all of different activities. Even if you call the very high-tech order of industries also there. For example, L&T MBDA is having its unit in SEZ called Aspen SEZ in Coimbatore, where they're into production of missile components. So that much high-tech level is also there. And we have one Cheyyar SEZ, which is located in Tiruvannamalai district, which is the one of the largest employers. About 30,000 people are working. And very interestingly, out of this 30,000, 70% are women. And they have taken the workforce from among the villages nearby. That is another beauty of the Fengde group, which has promoted this SEZ. So they are not only they are having their presence in Tiruvannamalai district. Apart from that, they are having their presence in Bargur also of late. There they are having about 10,000 employees working as of now. And we have electronic manufacturing SEZ. One is coming up in Krishnagiri district. That is called Delta SEZ. So hopefully within another 1.5 to 2 years, even maybe the possibility is there that they would start their production by 2022 itself. Then if you go to the IT sector, there are 2 tidal parks. One is within the SEZ system, another is outside the SEZ system. So within the SEZ system, the tidal park is located in Coimbatore. So for the last 5 years, this sector is doing very well. Even now also, if I take only the special economic zones in the state, the IT sector has grown up. In spite, we have to underline the factor that in spite of the pandemic, it has grown up 11% as of now, as of yesterday. And the manufacturing sector, if you look at from the manufacturing sector's perspective, it was down by about 90 to 95% in April 2020 last year. So from a downfall of 95%, it gradually improved and bridged the gap. And now the downfall is about 25 to 30%. Hopefully, we are all hoping that by the end of this financial year, by the end of this March, there will not be any negative factor. So the manufacturing sector would have caught up with the last year's achievement. So we hope that the manufacturing sector also getting into positivity by the advent of the next financial year, that is 2021-22. So with the service sector, which has the success of the service sector during the pandemic time can be concept. That work from home concept, WFH has very effectively helped the service sector to stay afloat. So that is a very important thing as far as the service sector is concerned, especially within the service sector, IT sector. So it has become a new norm. It has become a new normal. And I think that work from home concept has gone well into the IT units. Probably some percentage of their professionals, associates would be working from home from now on. It has become a new normal. Then if you go to the southern part of Tamil Nadu, in Madurai, we are having 2 LCAT SEZs, one of which is working now, functioning. That is located in Elandai Kulam, that is doing very well. The another one is an upcoming one. probably by this year end or next year, it will be also will be in the reckoning. And if you move down further, in Tirunelveli, near Tirunelveli, there is AMRL SEZ. I think Mr. Indranil Dasgupta must have spoken to you all. So that is the largest special economic zones in the state, which is having about 2,500 acres of land. So out of which the processing area itself is about 1,600 acres. And they are having one FTWZ also. Within the SEZ, there is an FTWZ for free trade warehousing zone. So there, the plenty of space is available, even though there are about nearly about 20 industrial units are functioning. And AMRL, if the investment happens in a very aggressive manner in southern part of the state, the destination is AMRL SEZ, which I can very much say. I think Mr. Indranil Dasgupta, who is the CEO of Activo, he would also agree with that. So this is the scenario about the SEZs, 48 SEZs and 11% growth in the IT sector compared to last year in spite of the pandemic situation, and the manifold gapping the bridge by the manufacturing sector from 95% down to only about 25% down now, and this gap also will be closed in the next couple of months. And what about our export oriented units? We are having about 300, more than 300, to be precise, 338 export oriented units are functioning in Tamil Nadu. So these units have also faced certain setback during the pandemic time. Of course, still we are in the pandemic time. Probably we may get out of this within another 2 to 3 months time. So in this period, they got very much affected, and however, they never lost the hope, and they have come back to the slowly and gradually they're coming back to normalcy. Among the EOUs, those EOUs which are in the pharma sector have done very well during the pandemic. It is very obvious too. So the pharma sector, which is one of the pillars of our strength in the country, will continue to grow. Likewise, the auto sector. So apart from all these things, our one physical advantage is that we are having 2 ports in Tamil Nadu. One is the 3 ports, of course. One is Chennai, another one is Tuticorin, and the third one is Kottupalli. So Chennai port being the oldest, of course, it is doing well. Only they have ran into a problem of container shortage in the recent times. That is almost sorted out. Of course, Tuticorin Port is looking after the import and export of the southern region, and Kottupalli is one of the promising ports coming up. So we are having this locational advantage. Of course, we have a very robust international airport, and we are having the maximum. The state is having the maximum international airports across the state, across its geography. So these all the factors. One is another factor is that infrastructural facilities. You go anywhere, I think the infrastructure is great here. Another one is the minimal labor issues. Everybody, I think all of you would agree that the labor disputes and issues are one of the lowest in the country. That is in Tamil Nadu only. So that is another advantage along with the locational advantage. And Tamil Nadu has a great linking of roads. The roads are in very good shape. So all these things makes it as a very attractive, most wanting destination. Even very recently, one Taiwanese company, Pekatron, they have invested. They have invested. They are going to invest hugely near Chennai, So they were earlier part of our export-oriented unit. Now they have opted for a custom bonded warehouse. Wherever whether they are in the SEZ or EOU or custom bonded warehouse, the investment is coming into the state, and especially investment is coming into the country. That is what more important for all of us. So there is a concept we all know, that the most favored nation, like that Tamil Nadu has definitely emerged as most favored state within the country, with which we can all say with all pride. So I would like to take any question, in case of any question is there. Anybody would like to get any clarification on issues of SEZ, EOUs, or economy overall? I think probably the Honorable Minister for Industries would be joining anytime now.
Yes.
In this regard, I would like to congratulate the Industries Department headed by the Principal Secretary Industries, and also the Guidance Bureau headed by its CEO. So they have really worked hard, and we were also sometimes we used to coordinate with them for getting certain investments and other linkages. So it is wonderful working with them. And both the Industries Department and Guidance Bureau, they have worked in tandem to make all these investments happening in Tamil Nadu, in the state. And we hope that every other state also would be catching up with it, so that the country as a whole can get a lot of investments, newer technologies coming in, so that our teeming millions of youngsters would be getting a good job. So all these things are, by the end of the day, everybody should be employable and everybody should get employment. That is what more important for the teeming millions. And ours is a very thickly populated country. So we require a lot of employment opportunities here, and also quality employment. It's not like that it should not be a disguised employment. It should be quality employment. That is also what matters. Apart from that, not only the country's economic situation, but also the people's economic activity, like everyone should get strengthened in their own economic system. That is more important. So thanks a lot for this opportunity. It's my pleasure to have participated in this event. Thanks a lot.
Was very passionate, and we came. Zips are operational in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, 48.
In fact, you'll be happy to, yeah, and you'll be happy to know that today, 11 American companies, Korean companies, Japanese companies, German companies, Saudi Arabian companies are all part of your delegate list. And today, the representatives of these companies are listening to whatever you, me, and all the speakers have been speaking.
Okay.
So I think you had congratulated the Tamil Nadu's Industries Department. In the morning, we had Josh Folger from Foxconn. So,
okay.
So he also complimented, and he is looking forward to active investments of Foxconn in Tamil Nadu, more investments. Mr. Kanoria, distinguished business leader Eman Kanoria was there, chairman of the SHREI. So he also echoed the same sentiments. Mr. Ramachandran, chairman of the Port Trust,
Yes,
he was also there.
Oh, yes.
And he was also there. So Korean Consul General Mr. Yong Sik Hyun was there, because Korean community happens to be the biggest expatriate community in Tamil Nadu. So naturally, in terms of strengthening the bilateral relationships to the next level, his presence, participation, assurances, matter to us. So he was there, and he's still logged in. He listened to whatever you were saying.
Okay.
Staff, everyone. So the good things which is coming through all these deliberations is that Dr. Mittal and team, they have done a fabulous job to make Tamil Nadu what it is today. And I have traveled and I've seen the kind of developments that has happened. It is unparalleled. Thank you so much for taking time out and sharing your thoughts. Normally, not every day we get the SEZ commissioners also participating and the port chairman also participating, because these are typical industry agenda where the industries department and
I think
chamber
you have
of commerce.
coordinated very well so that everybody
Thank you
is
so much.
participating.
And the heartiest thing about you is that your behavior is unlike of a civil servant. You're so savvy in your phone. This is something which attracts us. Your simplicity. So unlike, because see, it's a decade now I have been dealing with civil servants across the world, and we understand.
It's a changing face of civil servants, huh? Maybe.
Yeah, it is a changing face. There's a book which has come out in Delhi by one former civil servant. So changing face of civil servants. In fact,
Really?
Anil Sarup ji,
Oh, yes. He's from Uttar Pradesh cadre. I know him.
Yeah. So Anil Sarup, he just retired. He was the secretary.
Yes.
So he is regular in our forums. So
okay,
it's the changing face, and civil servants today are more attached with the actual needs of the industry. So this kind of passionate pitches were never there a decade back.
And that is what happened in the industries department here, as well as the guidance bureau, because of their passionate interaction with the industry and the way they have carried forward, because of the investments are.
Yes. So they very passionately, they spoke. And in fact, this cultural change is happening across Indian missions also, which is the IFS cadre. So I find ambassadors also, whichever country we go through Commerce Ministry's funding under MAI scheme, the ambassadors go all out to support Indian business. So this is the changing face of civil servants and diplomats in the Indian context. There's a paradigm shift, let me tell you. The ambassadors spend half a day, interact with the people, understand the product, try to push the product. So, otherwise we will lose out to our big neighbor.
Yes, that's
if we are not so industrious. And the nation
actually, we have to be proactive. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. So, minister is on the way to his office. Any moment he's going to reach, and he's going to speak. Meanwhile, we will start our panel discussion because everyone has joined. I would like to request the panelists to be there online, and my colleague Naveen Madishetty, who heads our Southern Regional Council, to start moderating the same. So Naveen, you can start your deliberation, and you can take it. Meanwhile, while the minister comes, we might take a pause for 5-10 minutes and honor the minister to share his thoughts, and then you can always continue. Thank you, Mr. Sundaram. Really appreciate.
Thanks a lot.
Right, Naveen, take it forward.
Thanks.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
You are audible.
Yes, I'm audible.
Yes.
You are audible.
Yeah, thank you. So, very good afternoon to you all. We had a great session today, and the kind of attention which is received is very encouraging. Especially, we had the Consul General, His Excellency, still. That shows the magnanimity and also the seriousness of this event and the interest it is generating. We'd like to go ahead in the last leg of the event, which is the investment road ahead. And the pattern of the session is more of an interaction. So we have a very good panel with us. I would like to welcome the Yungi Han, Mr. Yungi Han, who is the MD of Kotra. Mr. Yungi Han, you are there? I just want to check. If you can say.
Yes.
Yeah. So I request all the panelists to switch on the mic when they're speaking, and when they turn off, then they can switch off their mic. The view is their option; they can switch on depending upon their technical bandwidth, which is available. I would like to also welcome Mr. Anjani Maurya. He's the director of Alex Minerals.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Suddho Satwa Basu, CEO, Kriya Trade LLC. Mr. Suddho Satwa, you there? You can test your mic, so just say hi so that I'm sure that your mic is working. Mr. Swami from Hanan Systems and Mr. Arun Paul from Tamil Nadu Guidance. So
Good
without
evening,
further
everyone.
delay,
Good afternoon, everyone.
yeah, welcome. Arun Paul. So without the delay, I would like to go ahead interaction because we are already running short of time. The investment we would like to discuss more of is the perspective in which the investment climate in India is generated and how the foreign investment comes into picture. So we have seen today Korea's presence and the bilateral relation and the equation which plays a large role in any trade relation between two countries. So India has been a proactive country as a world leader, economic future leader also, to work with nations, including Korea, to increase its trade. So in this context, I would like to go ahead in this discussion. Taking Korea as an example, I would like to mention a few points before I reach out to Mr. Yungi Han. The Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement was signed in 2010, and the trade between India and Korea has reached to $20 billion in 2018. So the investments of India to Korea is about $1, and that is nearly the same of Indian investors in Korea. And so far, there's a lot has been done by both the countries. We will discuss the perspective and the opportunities and challenges. I'd like to welcome Mr. Yungi Han, Managing Director, Kotra. Before we start the introduction, could you please introduce Kotra and the activities and the investor perspective for our audience?
Hello everyone. My name is Yungi Han, and I'm working for Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, which is a trade promoting body run by the Korean government. And as the moderator, Mr. That the Korea and India has come a long way to I guess that came a very long way to make economic cooperation for the mutual benefit. And as Mr. Navin has said, that the Korea and India has already made a comprehensive economic partnership agreement in 2010. And we have been witness the growth of trade between two countries. And then also the Hyundai Motors and Samsung Electronics and very representative Korean companies have been investing in Tamil Nadu, not just in Tamil Nadu, but in New Delhi metropolitan area too. But in Tamil Nadu, there is no denying that the Tamil Nadu is one of their best destination. So I think that this type of a trend will go on, and I think that with the efforts of both countries, governments, we will be able to make a great progress for the mutual economic benefits. Thank you.
Mr. Yungi Han, I would request if you can hold your mic a little closer. I think this is low audio, but I would like to start the interaction. We have a lot of companies from India and abroad. So in their perspective, to bring in what could be the opportunities lie ahead, could you please mention that what are the unidentified opportunities for Indian companies in Korea? For example, agriculture, and food processing, or even by India is poised to become a biomedical manufacturing hub. And so, what do you think? What are the requirements that for an Indian company to come and invest in Korea or export to Korea? How do you see that?
I think that the potential that of economic cooperation between India and Korea is very huge, and it is not used well so far. This has been just in few industries such as automotives and electronics. But like you said, there are many other industries that we can tap into. Let's say that the IT service industries or the SaaS industry. The Tamil Nadu Chennai is now being called as a hub of SaaS industry of India. And I guess that those types of industries are not being fully utilized by the Korean counterparts. And as you have mentioned, India is very famous for its pharmaceutical industries. And the Indian government is doing everything that it can do to promote medical equipment manufacturing industries. I think that this is a time for Indian government to work step ahead and forward to actively communicate with the Korean industry. That attractiveness as a investment destination. And also, many Korean companies here in India are engaged in export activities. And export, it's very easy. Koreans have been doing this from the day one of the economic development. That exporting the automotive parts produced here in India back to Korea. And what you have already mentioned is already happening in many ways. And Korean companies will find a way to take advantage of the strategic advantages that India is now providing. And the exporting to Korea, exporting their products made in India to Korea is just one of them.
Thank you, Mr. India. That brings to my next speaker, Mr. He has a lot of interest in companies, especially Korea. So may I request Mr. Moria, Director of Alex, introduce your company and let's start the interaction and follow-up question.
Hi, good morning to all of you. First of all, I would call us a startup because not many people would call us a startup in the line of business we are. But yes, I believe not only innovation, but also, getting the innovations to the market and making it available for everyone is also starting up a business and entrepreneurship. So we at Alox decided to focus on the material shortage of lithium carbonate in India, and decided we'll go look for the available resources that can make India self-reliant or Atmanirbhar, as our Prime Minister states it. But we've been doing it for much long, and we believe it's needed for the country, for the energy security of given the EV rise in the future. So we are focusing on getting lithium to India from the South American nations. We are focusing on, enhancing it to the anode and cathode materials, and then also looking at fabricating cells, which now recently Amar Raja Batteries, or Amaron as everyone knows it, has started the first pilot plant of 1 megawatt hours, but the government of India's institutions have already done it in much before and are excelling. So we're partnering with many of these research institutes to get the required technology to fabricate cells and then go on to the battery in the future. And as such, I'm glad that the Korean delegation is here, and that someone could also put us on to on one of your companies, like example Kokum, which is into lithium cell fabrications, cell manufacturing, and the batteries and other things. So yeah, it would help us. It would get, and we should focus on getting more technology into India other than the existing Chinese companies that keep coming in. Alternative, because as you say, we should not be reliant all on one person. So that has been a focus. We are focused from getting the resource directly from the source, the lithium carbonate, to supplying batteries to the industry mm, uh, industry players, yeah, for the automotive and everyone. And mostly people believe only EV is the only thing, but EV is not the only thing. You have telecom towers, you have energy storage, you have many other things. So yeah, that is what our focus has been since 2016. Yes, Naveen.
Great, Maurya, you have been doing great job. I think there is a lot of potential for meeting clients' needs through your resources, raw material, and Tamil Nadu is also automotive hub. And I think have a lot of things to discuss with Tamil Nadu guidance. Today they are discussing about the battery manufacturing in the SEZ. So there's something you can take it up with them also.
Absolutely, and the best part about the lithium cells, Naveen.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The best part about lithium cells is you don't need, you can do it on a small scale as well. You can do it in industrial estates, in a big industrial scale, and you can even do it in large scale warehouses, because it's all runs in a dry room. It's not all environmental. Naveen, you have to mute your mic. Yeah, so it's all about yeah, it's all about the infrastructure and the quantity you need, and it's not about creating pollution anymore, because most of the pollution takes place when you extract lithium carbonate from the source, let it be the rock form or the brine form. So yeah, and I guess the Korean delegates are here, so I would like to know that Tamil Nadu would be a good state and great state to be. That if the honorable Councillor Generals or Director Generals can, get some of their exciting existing companies and to come and set up shop in India or tie up for partnerships, we would be more than happy to tie up with one of your players to take up the technology and fabricate cells and cater the Indian markets. Over to you, Naveen.
Yeah, thank you, Maurya. We would like to also bring in the role of technology and innovation. So we have the next speaker, Mr. Sudha Sarma. He's the CEO of Korea Trade. Sudha, you are there? Can you hear me, Sudha? Sudha Satwa is the CEO of Clear Trade. If you keep your mic. Okay, we'll try to identify the technical. We'll move on to the next speaker. Mr. Swaminathan from Hanan Systems. Hello, Mr. Swaminathan. Can you hear me, Mr. Swaminathan? Mr. Swaminathan, we can't hear you. Can you put the mic? Are you back?
Am I audible now?
Yeah. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, Mr. Swaminathan, welcome. And
thank you.
Right away, straightly, I would like to ask you to, present the journey of Hanon Systems, how, you have been set up to set up the base in India and how you have grown over the years, and
Right.
what role the Indian, the Indian skill, which is one of the big assets, and the existing ecosystems of supply chain and vendor, which has played a valuable role. So if you
Absolutely.
can describe that in context.
Sure. Thanks a lot, and thanks for giving me the opportunity and wonderful platform to talk to. And it's my pleasure. I think to take your first question, yes, the journey of Hanon started in the late 1990s, in 1998. It came in along with the need for being a supplier to Hyundai. Just to give you a magnitude compared to then and now, the investment has multiplied 20 times. So that's the road ahead we have had. And now we not only supply to Hyundai, we also supply to Kia, we also supply to Ford. So basically we are into thermal solutions, and which is, either passenger cooling or engine cooling or now battery cooling. Yeah, any of the cooling which is required. The journey has been very, very, very smooth and memorable. It's not only for as a person in India, but Chennai has been one of the coveted plants in the basket of Hanon. Hanon has about 48 manufacturing facilities across the world with a revenue of 8 billion. So giving, that's the India, especially Chennai has a great, if you ask a step back, it's not, right from inception, the support of Tamil Nadu government needs to be really appreciated. We might have come across through multiple governments, and there's been no government which has been dark of supporting the industry. Having said that, the last few years, it was a dramatic. I know I'm repeating what others said, but I cannot be without doing that. The significant change, and especially, after the TN guidance has come, the form and shape and presentations, when they present themselves to the world outside, has remarkably changed. That's very professional. Just to give you, when we signed our MOU in 2019, the Honorable Minister, Secretary, and few others had traveled all the way to Seoul to impress our CEO and our board. So that's that commitment. That was a very clear sign of commitment from the state of Tamil Nadu, and they were quite open to receiving feedback as well. So if you see, so to answer your first question, how was the journey? The journey is very good, and the figure speaks for itself. The investment has multiplied 20 times. And what we started off as a manufacturer for one OEM today, apart from supplying to India, nearly 30 to 35% of our production is going outside. Previous speaker Sudha was saying, yes, a lot of exports do have informed. We are a very large supplier to General Motors as well for the compressors, and one out of the two cars which is running across the world, the compressor is made in India. So that is the potential of exports. All this cannot happen just because it's not because we have people here. It's also because of the depth of relationship and trust these two countries have been able to develop among themselves. The relationship, having worked in multiple MNCs, I can tell you, the relationship with the Korean is far different, beyond just a relationship. I would say it gets very close to oneness. You're a family and you have any problem, they are there to help. It is your problem or their problem, doesn't matter. That's the experience we have had with the OEM Hyundai we have had. Just to give you an example, major floods in 2016, the factory was flooded and we could not operate. And there was some fever in Maritime, which is very far away from where Hyundai is. Hyundai was not aware of this. Once they came to know, they wanted to open the factory, but we were not able to. They sent a bunch of Koreans, experts in handling this, and they were with us night and day, and they slept on a bench put over there for 5 hours in the same place. They refused to go back because that will take another 10 hours to come back. So just, that was a commitment, and that gave us, and they removed certain tools and gave it to another vendor. Hanan had no relationship, but that vendor took it up because he knew he's part of one family. So, that is something which this Korean experience has brought in to us. So it's been wonderful. I still have a lot of friends in Korea as well. I think one more thing which which has happened is their experiences. If you ask them, Koreans, are they willing to come and work in India? There are two reasons, apart from business, from of their profession, why they would like to come to India. They like their children to grow in a good English-speaking background. That's why Chennai gets a few more marks. And they like to have certain entertainment, which the family can see. So, now from these things, and also knowing the depth of the knowledge and technology, technical capability of the people, over the period, they have become fans, ambassadors of India. And that has been the main reason the investment. They have all grown to major senior positions. And they say, why not India first? Okay, if it doesn't suit, then it goes to other countries. Having said, ask way forward, way forward, so the call, I think I would that, maybe have a Korean desk in Chennai. The Korean desk need not be a person who should be from Korea. Now there are a lot of Indians who speak good Korean, so it can be way forward to make Chennai. I'm not going to talk about improved infrastructure. Everybody is going to talk about it, but the one which probably can, the Korean desk can make a unique selling proposition if it does not. Second thing, probably I would suggest that to have more ambassadors in Korea who support for India. It's time that we bring in a Korean infrastructure company and develop a Korean town. States have done it, but I think in full, via Korean infrastructure, I think they will be able to market well. They will more understand the needs of the Koreans as well, and make them. And also, obviously, maybe the last point I would like to say is, promote Chennai as a knowledge hub. We are very good in in software. And whereas as a next value added, I did see that Deputy Chief Minister had mentioned something about the fintech companies, but apart from that, the software companies can move up the next value chain to get the hardware as well. TN way forward. Probably, Naveen, I thought I had 3 major questions I had answered. If there's anything else, I would like to come back.
Thank you, Swaminathan. I think that was a great success story for all the participants today, all the companies which would like to invest in India, and the companies which would like to work with Korean counterparts. It's a great success story, and I think you are an ambassador of that today. So I would like to thank you for that. The next panelist, Mr. Sudho Basu, you there? He has some technical issues with the mic. I think our team is sorting out. Can you hear? Yeah, we can hear you if you can speak louder. Only you can hold your mic a little closer to you. Yeah. There is a movement of the mic, but we could not hear you. Can I request my technical team to fix, help him to unmute? There is a possibility also to unmute from our side, if you can't. So, I'm sorry, I'm going on to next speaker. I'll come back to you again. If you want to save the time. I would now request Mr. Arun Paul, Vice President of Tamil Nadu Guidance. Can you hear me, Mr. Arun?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I think it was a great day, and Tamil Nadu investment, we had Tamil Nadu Guidance, we had two great presentations. And thank you for collaborating with PC, giving us the opportunity. We had a lot of appreciation for the Tamil Nadu Guidance and the bureaucracy. So it has evolved. So it's a free interaction.
Okay.
So we want to keep it more of a, very frank conversation kind of thing.
Okay.
2 points which, the business enterprises and the companies which would like to domestically as well as abroad is biggest, what is the, the ease of business or the price, or what is the available which can provide them an edge and make their business processes, very efficient. And the second one is the administration, the licensing and all the other parts, how it will make them comfortable and how it will, bring the, the time of business, to a minimal extent, so that they can increase their, business and also or the services. In this context, talk about how you would work with, companies.
Sure. Thank you very much, Naveen. Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to thank ICC for giving us the opportunity to speak here today. And in this Tamil Nadu, Korea, the investment road ahead. First of all, I would like to say that the Republic of Korea and Tamil Nadu share a strong collaboration in the area of businesses and cultural exchanges. So we have a lot of major Korean companies. You named them: Hyundai, Hanon, Mando, Samsung. They're all present in Tamil Nadu. And we have just heard from Mr. Swaminathan. Before I answer my question, I would just like to mention to Dr. Swaminathan's proposal that we already have one Korean desk in guidance. So it is the one point contact for all the Korean investments, as for the investments and also for the facilitation. So I will connect you with the Korean guidance person, sir.
Apologies for the ignorance.
No worries. Sir. So, and talking about the infrastructure and the supply system, like Naveen, what you said, you just take the case of Hyundai. When Hyundai came, after Hyundai came, companies like Hanon, Mando, all the companies, the whole supply system got established in Tamil Nadu. See, and Tamil Nadu is one of the top automobile hub in the world, I would say. And it accounts for around 35% of the auto component production in India. And you see, there are more than 1,300 factories involved in the production of motor vehicles, trailers, and semi-trailers in the state. And you see, just in the COVID period alone, last year, 2020, we signed 73 MOUs worth around 60,000 crores. And last week on 16th February, we signed 28 MOUs worth 28,000 crores. This shows the confidence that the investors are having in the state of Tamil Nadu and its administration. And I also like to say, you're talking about the ease of doing business. In ease of doing business, the state government is trying into various initiatives and measures to improve the ease of doing. we have something called BizBuddy. BizBuddy is the industry help desk portal designed to help the business report the operational issues across various departments. This initiative has been unique, and we have already answered the last 8 months. We have more than 140.
Mr. Paul, can you
Mr.
interrupt?
Paul,
answer.
this is Devmalia Banerjee. Sorry to interrupt with you.
Yes.
You know,
Okay, great.
Sampath, my
Yeah.
apologies for interrupting you, but Minister with us here. So Mr. Sampath has already joined. Can, Honorable Minister, can you hear us? Hello? Can you hear us, Honorable Minister? Because he has already joined the system.
It says he has a low bandwidth.
He has a low bandwidth.
Right.
Devu, can you help him?
No, I just saw the remark which is showing up on his screen.
Yeah. He has
We are
joined. That is
checking it. We are checking it, Devmalia. We're checking it.
okay. So sorry, Arun. Since
No worries.
my apologies. হ্যাঁ কি হলো না এখন খাইনি পরে কথা বলছি
श्रीराम बोलो इशू हमारे एंड से नहीं आ रहा है कि यहाँ से आवाज नहीं आ रही है मिनिस्टर साहब के यहाँ से जो आपने कनेक्ट कराया है
he can speak from his phone. I can I can send the link to do you have the speaker link and he can join from there. I will just he can connect from Sriram's phone also. Just forward the link to him. So Rahul, I've
तो हम most of the people are joined on phone. So जब लैपटॉप से नहीं हो पा रहा है तो you have to use phone. है ना? या WhatsApp भी भेज.
Okay. Shriram. अभी एरिया चल गया and we আপনি দূরে থাকুন কারণ দুজনে একই হ্যাঁ ব্যান্ডউইথ ইউজ হচ্ছে
Okay, fine. I think it will take a couple of minutes. Sriram is checking.
Lecture, I am continuing via Wi-Fi on laptop.
I think Honorable Minister video has come now. The video has come. Sriram, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just face the camera should be facing the Honorable Minister. Sriram, just check the audio.
You can tell Sriram to have the video and connect the audio via his phone.
Yeah, we have told him if you could also indicate to him. We have told him. We have sent him the link on his WhatsApp. It can be connected from phone. That will be better.
I'll just tell him.
Yeah,
If you
I
could
have
tell him.
just guided him to just connect the audio, but he's trying.
Just check the audio. No, it is registered definitely. The email ID means Allah, that's Murugan, that. Not your ID, Allah Murugan, that ID. It will happen now. Don't worry.
Deepta, can he continue till time? Arun, Mr. Arun, can he finish his note?
Okay.
In the meantime, I think he can continue. Is it okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will interrupt you when again the minister is back. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I stopped by saying that we also have a Korean district guidance. And Mr. Maurya also was talking about the lithium cell manufacturing. I would like to say that Tamil Nadu has positioned itself at the forefront of electric mobility. And in recently, we have assigned around 60,000 crores of investment since the launch of the EV policy in 2019. Major EV companies like Ather, Ola, and Ampere have signed an MOU with the state. And we recently launched our Tamil Nadu Industrial Policy 2021. See, this is a policy where you have benefits for industrial units, you have benefits for industrial park developers, for warehousing, logistic players also. This policy is basically focused with clear goals and increasing the contribution of manufacturing to 30% of the state's GSBA. So Tamil Nadu is basically at the forefront. And as I told earlier, we and Tamil Nadu and Republic of Korea share a strong collaboration in the areas of business, and we recently conducted a roundtable with Korean investors. And I would like to quote the point said by the Director General of Kotra. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, minister is online. Sriram,
Yes,
you
great,
can
great.
hear now? You hear?
No worries, no worries.
Hello? Yes. Yeah, we can see the Honorable Minister.
So we are starting, sir.
Yeah. Honorable Minister, namaste. This is Devmalia Banerjee. I'm the Regional Director of Indian Chamber of Commerce. I am based out of Delhi, and it's a pleasure to have you on board, sir. And there had difficulties at all the ends. So our apologies to you for that. I'm sure now waiting to hear your deliberations. From the morning, we had the MD of Foxconn International, Josh Folger, Reddy from the Reddy family. We had Hemant Kanoria, distinguished Indian industrialist, chairman of Shrey. We had the Consul General of Korea. We also had the port chairman and SEZ chairman. Invest India, Kotra, they are all partners. So without taking much time, may I now request you to share your thoughts with us. Sriram, you can take his mouth.
Strategy
on speaker.
Indian Chamber of Commerce.
We can hear. Sriram, go ahead.
Indian Chamber of
Yeah. Let the minister speak.
To address destination Tamil Chamber of Commerce. That is one of the most progressive industrialist state India. During the COVID period, signed 70 60,074 posts. Addition to these, on 16th February 2021, an investment of the 8,000 posts, employment opportunities, 775 persons are signed. Tamil Nadu industry policy to make
প্রকাশকে বলুন ফোনটা মন্ত্রীর কাছে নিয়ে কোন স্পিকারে দিতে সুবিধা হবে তাহলে শ্রীরামের ফোনটা শ্রীরামকে ডিস্টার্ব করবেন না শ্রীরামকে বলতে ওর ফোনটা মন্ত্রী সাহেবের মুখের কাছে নিয়ে যেতে চেষ্টা করে যান
Shriram, the audio is not, the minister audio is not.
Sriram, we can hear you now, Sriram. Sriram, you have to take your phone close to the mouth of the minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Take it close, Sriram. Oh no, still more closer. Yeah.
The government of Tamil Nadu has announced several initiative policies such as aerospace and defense policy, revised IT policy, manufacturing policy. Information technology is an important sector in Tamil Nadu. Despite the even and presumed.
Thank you, Sundar. Yeah. Not bad.
Rahul,
Hello, did you finish?
Yeah,
Sriram?
Minister has finished. Honorable Minister has finished his speech.
Oh, but we can hear you loud. The minister's voice was low.
No, this is Paul.
Oh, Paul.
so Naveen, let us thank the Honorable Minister. Thank you so much for taking time out at least and coming and assuring the people that the government of Tamil Nadu and is standing behind the investors. Although there were technical issues, but at least your presence, that mattered a lot. And sorry, Paul, I had to interrupt you twice.
No worries.
Things were beyond my control. Honorable Minister is the senior most. He needs to be given
Yes. No, I think I'm more or less finished. I just want to say one point to Mr. Maurya. He was talking about the lithium cell manufacturing. So, off late, the state has signed around 16,000 crores worth MOU. And with major companies like Acre, Ola, Ampere have signed the MOUs with the state government. And for battery and cell, we have companies like Levi, BYD, Lucas, TVS who have signed the MOU with the state government. We'd be glad to connect with you and help you in connecting you with the respective relevant people and for any approval of yours. And we have the Tamil Nadu electric vehicle policy, which was launched in 2019. And as I told earlier, we have now launched the Tamil Nadu Industrial Policy 2021. I think our MD and CEO, Dr. Neeraj Mittal, would have given the key highlights of the policy in the inaugural session. So once again, I'd like to thank all the panelists, and I'd also like to thank Dharmalaya Banerjee, Naveen, and the team of ICC for putting this together. And we are there for you, and any support guidance is 24/7 open, and we assure you fullest support and help in all the industry endeavors. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So Maurya will connect with you later. There is one question came from one of the participants. They would like to know from Tamil Nadu Guidance.
Yes.
In terms of in the area of herbal manufacturing and extraction.
Okay.
Governments, what is the licensing mechanism? Is it what department should he approach, and what is the mechanism?
So what you can do, you can send an email to us. We will connect them. We'll check their query and we'll connect them with the relevant department.
Naveen, can I just speak for a minute?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. I just got the gist of what you've told me. I've asked Naveen to forward you details already. He's in fact given one of your colleagues' number. So apart from BYD and all, we are looking if you can even help us, connect with the Korean delegation and get us to some of the companies. Like, see, since we've been stressing BYD and all these companies, yes, their technology is good, top notch, and everything. But we were trying to look at some Korean technologies as well, because they are equally competitive, and the material usage in the batteries, it differs from Chinese and other people, because it is as claimed in China. And for any battery, like, this comes from one of the scientists who's based out in Chennai from ARCI, Mr. Raju Prakash, who's one of the senior most in the country, that when they've asked them the guarantees or the guarantees come as in China, as in the climatic conditions or anything as in China. So when it comes to India, most of it differ. So you need to modify it, according to our climate, our climates, our thermal stabilities and other things. So yes, there's one company that we identified. It's called Kokam, Kokam, which is a South Korean company, and we are in conversations with some of the other companies as well. But our Indian technologies also sound, look promising, which in fact, the first self-fabricating unit is in Chennai, in an IIT Madras park, which is the government of India. But yes, it's one of the successful things, and due to the constraints, they do less, but it's one of the first plants. So yes, we would love to come connect. And what we also would like to offer is we can be an anchor industry, or we can be an anchor supplier to whoever wants to come and fabricate cells in India, because lithium being the raw material, we have direct supply from the source, let be Bolivia or a company in Brazil. From Bolivia, we deal directly with the government, and we've had the opportunity to bring them to India in one of ICC's summit in 2019, which happened in Hyderabad. The Korean delegation, actually, because like we have Coal India, they have YLB, which is the official designated this thing for lithium. And even till date, we are in good terms and good this thing, and a point of sale for the Korean thing in India, the Bolivian entities in India. So yes, we would love to even be an anchor industry if you're getting any lithium ion cell fabricating companies to Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Thank you, Moria, and also thank you for joining from UAE all the way and accepting the request despite your travel. We are almost coming to the conclusion, and we are moving towards lunch in Indian Standard Time. So I would like to give a final word to, it will do a justice to the program, to final word to Mr. Yungi Han. Before that, I would like to highlight that India's FDI in 2020 was in first 8 months was about close to 59 US dollars billion, as against 2019 46 billion US dollars. So there is nothing stops in India attracting foreign investments or the economic activity. But however, there are a lot to evolve and improve our other infrastructure needs and policy measures. So therefore, I would like to hand over the final word to Mr. Yungi Han about his expectations from Indian companies and the untapped opportunities, for Indian companies and investors in Korea. So I would like to give the final word to Mr. Yungi Han. Please, can you switch on your mic and speak, Mr. Yungi Han?
Yes. Well, India has made a great progress in making its economic environment liberal, but I also see a lot of leeways for the improvement. Mr. Kwan, His Excellency has already mentioned in the morning session that the Korean companies here in Tamil Nadu are mainly clustered around a number of large global companies. Hyundai Motors, India is one of them, and Samsung Electronics is one of them. But what I see is that there should be more of a leeway for the improvement of the investment business environment. And I guess that when Korean small and medium-sized companies can freely invest in India, and especially in Tamil Nadu, I think that that's the vision that I have. But to do that, we need to make great efforts to improve the investment environment in Tamil Nadu, and also Korean understanding of the Indian culture and the Indian value system. So I think there's a very big potential ahead of all of us from the standpoint of India and also from Korea. And let's make a common effort to make that potential realizable. Well, thank you.
Well, on that spirited, I think it's right time to end today's event. And it was a great message for all of us, and an optimistic note. And we from Chambers, we continue our commitment to bring all the stakeholders together and try to bring the right atmosphere and address the concerns. And I hope our partners all of them are we have addressed their requirements, including Tamil Nadu government and Tamil Nadu guidance. We thank you all for partnering with us, and for any questions or please, this is not the end. Reach out to us, our team, and we will address your concerns and we'll connect with the necessary companies and contacts. So once again, thank you all. Good day. Bye.